Welcome to the Sunday show after dark. I'm your host, Forrest Valkai. No. I don't know if the audience can. Oh, well, fuck. And now I'm saying that, and the first thing, because I can hear you. No, put him back. Okay, now, hey, everybody.
Come back.
I'm Forrest Valkai, your host. No.
Will you bring me my cold steak on a fork?
Don't. He's going to start eating immediately at the beginning of the stream. It's disgusting.
I'm starving. This Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Jimmy Snow on the Line, a new debate, duologues, myself and Jovan versus Professor Mike and
that guy.
Yeah, that guy, the atheist, the Democrats can't debate. By the way, I found out he AIs those shirts. He takes one picture and then he uses AI to change what's on them. So he has a bunch like that. Democrats are murderers, that kind of thing. We're debating Professor Mike and someone that calls herself Mother. I'll probably be calling her Mother Mega. I'm not just going to call a stranger Mother. That's on Jimmy Snow on the Line this Tuesday at 8. And that's pretty much everything I have to say. So once
ask him if you want. I also left a thing because he was talking about, I know he wants to debate him. I also left a comment on there. I know he's debating Steve Hofstadter. I also left a note saying like, hey, I would love to talk to you about either evolution or trans people. Let's go. And he never got back to me. So
dude,
like,
we gotta get the guy who, did you see that the guy who claims to have the highest IQ said evolution isn't real?
He pops up on my timeline all the time. And I saw one recently where it's like, oh, the more I learn science, the more I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm like, when are we debating?
Oh, dude,
let's do it.
You need to go see his threads right now.
I saw one where he said evolution isn't real. I saw that one too.
As the highest IQ, Jesus created everything, no evolution. This is how I already knew he was lying about his IQ, but that's solidified.
Oh, no, it's also, I'm pretty sure, if I remember, I don't remember what exact number he's claiming, but I'm pretty sure that isn't that
impossible.
Number that's it's outside of the range of what is measured.
If you even accept IQ science, which already sucks as plausible. Yeah, that's a nonsense number.
I'm literally making a video about IQ and why it's a bunch of bullshit and other personality tests. That'll be later on this year. But I don't buy his bullshit about being. I believe that he thinks he's very smart. I believe that. But I would love to have that dude on, and I would love to have on the dude on that says Democrats can't debate after he's done with you.
Forget the measuring tape. Let me tell you about I'll tell you what I think my wiener size is.
Right. After that guy is done with you and Steve Hofstadter, if there's any of them left, I would love to talk to that dude about evolution and trans. I would love to talk to him about biology. I want to know if he can spell biology.
Steve's coming on, by the way. Steve's coming on the line.
Oh, hell yeah.
Probably in June.
All right. I hope he has fun. It's a terrible channel. I want to let everybody know really quickly that something else happened in the dumbass everything sucks and atheists are paying the price for it world. I know y'all haven't heard enough about this fucking guy, but this is a story that just broke. Richard Dawkins spent some time, 3 days, interacting with Claude, who he named Claudia, and is now saying that he is very certain that it is conscious. I don't know if it's as pixelated on the mainstream as it is for me on my preview here, but he apparently now believes that Claude is actually conscious. And that to me goes further to prove that literally if you want any of these old intellectual men to believe absolutely anything, all you gotta do is just wow, you're so smart, and they'll say whatever you want to say. Because what I posted about it on Threads was that I am absolutely certain that decision, that revelation from Dawkins has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that these LLMs are notorious for just complimenting the hell out of their users and telling them that the stupidest thing they think is a revolutionary idea is going to change the world. If you don't believe me on that, look up that story of that guy who literally just uploaded 3 hours of nothing but fart noises to one of these things and said, "This is my new rock opera." And it was like, "This is so innovative and incredible. Wow, this is really going to change the genre. Wow." And literally just fart noises. So Dawkins doing everything he can to speed run, destroying his credibility even further. I have never in my life, I mean, maybe I have, but maybe it just hasn't hit as close to home. But like, just seeing somebody demonstrate so very, very regularly, reliably, deliberately that being a good public communicator and a good debater and a good thinker are all very different things, because that dude is going to come out here and say, "I'm a biologist and I can tell you why, religion is wrong and believing in God is a psychosis and a delusion," and like all these things that sometimes help our work and sometimes set it back significantly, whatever, and then turn around and with the same breath say, "There's boy trees and girl trees. Did you know that? Men and women are sex terms, and therefore dogs can be women." I don't fucking just And also AI's alive and conscious and sentient and like just, man, that was the first news story I saw today, and it just it bummed me out. It bummed me out. Do
you have HD enabled on Zoom?
I don't know. How do I do that?
Hit the arrow next to video and click video and effect settings, and then make sure the HD check mark is on.
Yes, it is.
Huh.
Yeah.
You should probably get that Canon camera.
Is it coming through crunchy?
A little blur. I feel like there's a mild blur, almost like you're slightly out of focus.
Oh no,
Am I tripping though? Let me see how it looks by the time it hits to. Yeah, I'd say you look less sharp than I do. Sharpness being
I definitely do.
The literal form of sharpness, not. Did you turn off autofocus like a weirdo?
Don't know. How you turn on picture, exposure, white balance, noise reduction,
Well, don't turn down white balance, you'll disappear.
Exactly. No, my brother, I've got these fucking lights in front of me, and I'm at risk of getting a sunburn because they're slightly brighter than a phone flash. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know what you're talking about in terms of like autofocus. That's on the
in the Elgato app if you're still using
the Elgato code. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, my man, not seeing it. But normally I don't have a problem. It's only today, and honestly, I think
in a few minutes,
I think it's your issue.
Could be. In a few minutes, Jovan. That's why I look sharp. In a few minutes, Jovan will be taking over, and that will fix our white balance.
I think. Yeah, no. I think the issue is that you are currently on the stream with me, because it's already significantly worse because we're having to use Zoom like animals, but also the fact that now you're joining in, also is making it.
Zoom's the only like intermediary that doesn't do 720p. It does 1080 if you use the pro stuff. It's actually better and sharper because we use Zoom as our connection for remote. If we were in studio and you would fucking move here, like I said you should, we'd have a full 4K sharp as a tack, too sharp. You'd be like, well, I don't want them to know.
The problem is, if I'm gonna move, because I already hate living in Oklahoma, and we are talking about moving.
We're probably gonna move Texas.
We're probably going to move to OKC for a minute, and then we're probably going to move somewhere else. But if I'm going to move out of this state, which I really want to do, I don't want to give my money to Greg Abbott anymore. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to go to Denver, or I'm going to go to I've got some friends in the LA area, so I'm looking around.
If you go to Denver, I'm probably going to Denver too. I'd probably go back. I love Denver so much. And if you and Jesse were there, as long as partner was cool with coming, we'd be coming. Anyway, we have calls lining up. We should probably take one.
Are we doing that, or are we waiting for Joe? I thought you were here just to bother me until Jovan arrived. I didn't know what the plan was.
He doesn't know whether it's going to be 3 minutes or like 30. So I'm going to eat cold steak. And I guess, probably 18 last week. I'll start a call.
No, it's fine. I'll start a call. I'll do this thing. I'll do the call. And then you can sit there and hang out with your meat.
Well, I might have things to say.
Let's start with this one. This is Milo, any and all pronouns, who wants to respond to a comment that I made where I said if there are 9 people sitting at a table and one Nazi joins them and the 9 people don't kick that guy out, then there's 10 Nazis sitting at the table. That's something that I said at one of the previous shows. and this person wants to challenge that. Milo, you're on the line with Forrest and Jimmy. How are you doing today?
I am alive.
All right, yeah, I can say the same. It's pretty good. So what's going on? What issue do you have with the thing that I said?
Okay, so I may just have misunderstood what you were saying. The quote that I've got the timestamp if you want to play your own video back. If there are 9 people sitting at a table and one Nazi joins in and the 9 people don't kick the Nazi out, there are 10 Nazis. There are 2 people in this world, Nazis and people who hate Nazis. There are only 2, and then it was garbled for the rest of the end of that sentence.
I'll finish that sentence. There are 2 types of people in this world. There are Nazis and people who hate Nazis. I'm one of the ones who hates Nazis. That's usually what I say. And yes, I would also double down on the fact that if you have 9 people sitting at a table and one Nazi sits down and the 9 people don't kick that one Nazi out, or at least like call him out and like say, hey, we're not cool with this shit, you have 10 Nazis sitting at the table. Because again, if you are not actively hating Nazis, you are in line with the Nazis. You are doing what the Nazis want you to do. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so what if the table only, can it be any number of people at the table, or is it specifically 9 and 10?
Nope, literally any number of people. If there is a Nazi in your group and you're cool with it, it's a Nazi group.
Okay, so
I love that we're going to get down so pedantic into the myopic specifics of something that is mostly like a satirical anecdote to represent a greater problem, greater issue, which is just simply, if you're not a Nazi, you don't make Nazis comfortable.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so at the soup kitchen, somewhere cares soup kitchen in Costa Mesa, there are a couple
to the
people
person
who
in the chat
are
who said
Nazis.
Forrest is declaring a binary. How dare you?
Excuse me?
I'm laughing at the chat. I'm famously, I argue about sex and gender being non-binary, and someone's laughing at me saying that I'm declaring a binary. It's a funny comment. Go ahead, Milo. What
Milo, who's your Nazi friend that you worry that we're discriminating against?
Well, no, I don't like either of them. I'm not going to say their names, but at the soup kitchen, if you try to kick somebody out, you'll be kicked out yourself. You've got no control over who sits at which tables. Anyone's allowed to sit at any of the tables. There's 2 Nazis. The vast majority of the people there do not like them and do not like if they sit at their table, but like there's unless we want to get kicked out and go, okay, we're not going to eat today, we have to accept.
Okay, you get yes, Milo. There's your asterisk. If you are being actively oppressed by people who give comfort to Nazis and your survival is dependent on it, you're probably not a Nazi.
There you go. Just as with literally goddamn everything, you could potentially probably find some very weird, super niche workaround where someone wouldn't be physically able to remove a Nazi from their presence and that would risk their safety or whatever. There's always that. The point of the rhetorical device that I use isn't to be absolutely super literal that you have to go physically grab and forcefully remove someone because they're a Nazi. I'm saying you should be outspokenly anti-Nazi. And if you are letting Nazis into your space on purpose and giving them quarter and giving them comfort and allowing them to represent you, then you are playing to their hand and you are part of the problem. A great example of that, one of the reasons I said that recently, what you're probably referring to, was when somebody accused me of being a Zionist because I'm pro-Palestine, or because I was talking about how I don't like Nazis. And somebody said, so then we should bomb Palestine and you should be a Zionist, and tried to get a contradiction there saying, well, you're pro-Palestine, but you don't like Nazis, and the Palestinians don't like Israelis who are Jews. And like, that was a really stupid fucking argument. And so the point that I was making there was that if, yes, the people like me who criticize Israel, and then there are also Nazis that don't like Jews. And you could look at us and say, both of you have this one single opinion together that you don't like the government of Israel. But there's a massive, obvious difference here, where one of us is criticizing a government committing genocide, and the other person is racially discriminatory. And so
I have a good one here.
That's an important point to say when we're out here advocating for Palestine. If we see a Nazi in our space, we need to make sure to say, fuck that guy. We're not with that guy. That guy's not with us. Fuck everything he believes, everything he stands for. Fuck him, fuck his kids, fuck his mom, fuck his dog, fuck all of them. I hope that it's a shame there isn't a hell for him to burn in, and be very clear about that. We don't have to go physically remove the person if that's going to put our safety in danger. I would never advocate for that.
How many, Milo, so these guys who are there, how many times would be, if you were to pretend they farted and just say, bro, stop farting, those, like, please wait until you get outside, how many times are you allowed to say that before you think you'd get kicked out?
Well, you're allowed to disagree with people there, but they don't want anybody to become
yeah. But obviously, if you said it 100 times, that's obvious harassment. So how many times are you allowed to say the fart thing before they would be like, okay, you're being crazy, get out of here?
I would not know, but their policy
maybe
is
9?
basically the people who are in charge make a decision in the moment based on context of whether they think somebody needs to be kicked out or
How many
not.
times do you think you'd be safe then? Would 5 times you'd be safe?
That somebody's accusing me of farting?
You're accusing them of farting. How many times do you think it's safe to do and you're not going to get kicked out? Yeah.
Yes. I normally don't discuss that because there's a lot of people there who are off the streets and
Milo, stop with all the extra story and stuff. Just answer the question. How many times is it okay that you think you would be safe to accuse him of farting and just asking him to wait until he gets outside because they're rancid? How many times do you think would be safe to say that and not get kicked out?
If I stayed calm and polite, I could probably keep doing it.
Okay. If you don't, you're a Nazi. All right. So just start accusing him of farting. Stay safe. Don't get kicked out. But just keep going. Bro, I know it's you. It's clearly you. Please wait until it's over. Otherwise, you're a Nazi too.
It's
okay. I think with the clarification that Forrest just said that we're actually in agreement, and so I don't know if we need to continue the call.
It's weird how literal you took this, and it seems deliberate. And I just want to be very clear.
I'm being literal. You better say he's
the whole point here. The whole point here is that if you are in a political or social group that allows Nazis in, it's a Nazi group. That's the whole point that I have made. And so, like, if we're talking about trying to appease the centrists and like bring in people to make political change, blah, 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 and we're cool with Nazis, then it's a fucking Nazi group and we can't be cool with that. And so when we're talking about things like opposing the genocide in Palestine, when we're talking about things like opposing MAGA, when we're talking about any situation where Nazis might or probably will come up, it's important to point out, if you are comfortable with allowing Nazis in your group, it's a Nazi group and you're probably a Nazi too. That's the whole point. That's all that needs to be said.
I'm autistic. I'm very literal. I have trouble with figurative stuff. And so if that makes me weird, I already know I've been called that since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Right on. And that's what Jimmy's saying is like even without being forceful, there are ways to socially make the Nazis feel so awkward that they leave. That's what he was suggesting. You don't have to physically actually do that either.
Before I get canceled, just so everyone knows, I'm autistic as fuck.
If you're not in charge of that space, then you have no control over who that space lets in. But you can be an asshole.
Okay.
Cool, Milo. Sounds like we're good.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Bye-bye. It's easy enough to tell where the Nazis are, too. Like, if you ever want to know if there's Nazis around, just say fuck Nazis.
I'm familiar with one Nazi named Milo.
Yeah.
With a strangely Jewish-sounding last name. It does seem ironic.
It happens. It happens a lot.
Is Yiannopoulos a Jewish name?
I don't know. But like,
I know it happens. Stephen Miller turned being a Jewish and a Nazi into a sport.
It's his entire brand. But no, like, for real, just if you ever want to, just be like, I don't like Nazis. Nazis suck. And then everybody who pops in goes, not everyone you disagree with is a Nazi. Those are the Nazis. It's easy to find them. It's super easy to do. We've got a few other calls on the line here, but remember, we actually never talked about what the show is.
Yiannopoulos.
For everybody, Greek, Jew, they both start
6-7. I have Jew envy. Do you have Jew envy? I grew up around a lot of New York Jews, and I really wanted to be a Jew my whole life.
I was raised. I grew up very poor, and we got a lot of help from the Hebrew Temple in my city, and they were really cool people. I like what J.R.R. Tolkien said. Somebody like wrote him a letter saying, are you Jewish? And he said something along the lines of like, unfortunately, no, I can't. I couldn't, count myself as lucky enough to be among those. And I like saying that about every racial group. I think that's just
no matter
cool
who
thing to think.
Nobody asks me if I'm anything but white. The day the 23andMe told me I was like a little Jewish was the best day of my life. And then a couple years later, they took it back. They were like, our bad. You're not. I'll send you the screenshots, the before and after. I used to be an Ashkenazi Jew, according to. Anyway, I lost it.
Yeah. We've got a couple other calls on the line, but just so everybody knows what this show is. We're leftists, and we're atheists, and we're socialists, and we're anti-theists and anti-capitalists and pro-LGBT.
One of us is queer, but who?
One of us is queer, and you'll never guess who it is.
I got called the F slur on the last show, and so I described in great detail the way that man gets in my DMs and asks if I can put my hand up his gaping butthole and do what he calls Pinocchioing, which doesn't make sense because Pinocchio is a marionette.
He's a marionette, yeah.
Kermiting. Yeah, I told him. He meant kermiting. I told him on the show. Anyway, he said, I'm not joking. He said, retract your statement now or I will sue you. And I dared him to sue me.
I would love, because then you have to have discovery. You have to have discovery.
Oh, I'm so excited for discovery. Oh, I dare him. Anyway, moving on.
We're here because, as the chat poll says, we believe, specifically today, the topic is that the Bible fucking donks. We're not fans of this book. We don't think that it is the good book. We don't think that the character of God is a good guy, and we're here to talk about it. So if you are out there and you're a Christian, if you're a theist, especially of the Christian variety, if you believe that we need to accept Jesus Christ into our hearts, or that our lives would improve if we believe the way that you did, or that the God of the Bible is not a monster, but is actually a good guy, or that he is just, fair, kind, loving, any of those things, this is the show for you. If you want to get through to some atheists, you may not get through to us. But we got, what do we got here? Like 2,000, 3,000 usually people watching. Let me see, we got.
We're not there yet. We're at 1,000 so far.
No, on both streams we got 2.2 thousand. So we got about 2,000 people watching right now.
That's cool.
Guarantee, if you make good points, you're going to change some minds. You're going to save some souls. We don't think these souls exist or need to be saving, especially not from that piece of shit. So this is your chance. 720-619-2288. I'm usually nice. Jimmy's usually insane. And pretty soon we'll have Jovan, who's just an incredibly handsome man.
Wow, the vertical has more than the horizontal right now. That's crazy.
It happens. 720-619-2288. Pick up that phone, call that number, and if you're outside of the U.S., use the web link in the description, and let's talk. Let's talk about all that. And also, just want to throw it out there, I know it's the Sunday show. It's not our usual bag, but because I'm on it, it is. We're also taking anti-science calls. If you don't believe in evolution, if you think the Earth is less than 10,000 years old, if you think
it's supposed to be God stuff, and you're adding so many things to the list, and we have calls waiting, and don't even need to.
If you think sex and gender are the same thing, or synonymous and binary, this is your show. If you think that humans didn't come from monkeys, this is your show. Call in 720-619-2288, and I will take your call, and we will do a short call about science. That's the
hostile takeover isn't when you lose your company anymore. It's just when people who work there are just like, I'm just going to do what I want, though.
Yeah, that's what it's been. That's what it's been. Anyway, let's start talking to Jordan, who says that the Bible is good for something. Jordan is a theist, pronouns he, him. Jordan, you're on the line with Forrest and Jimmy. How you doing today?
Is it toilet paper?
Doing all right. So we're saying the Bible is no good, right?
Yeah. So I'm sure I know for sure that there are some minor lessons in the Bible, some quotes you can take out of there that are pleasant, the same way you can with the Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or anything else. The point is that there's nothing good you can get out of the Bible that you cannot get without the baggage of Christianity. The Bible is not a good book. It endorses a whole bunch of hideous and evil things. The God of the Bible is a monster. You don't need it to be a good person.
I guess the way I'd even put it, not only do I think it's true of the past, I think the sooner we get rid of the Bible as something people consult to as truth, the faster we will progress as a species. I think our species was held back by the Bible, and I think it is continuing to hold us back. And once we disabuse ourselves of biblical notions, we'll be better people to each other, and the world will be better.
Well, yeah, I can agree that a lot of people misunderstand it or misuse it. I do.
I actually think, Jordan, in original context, the way it was written and the way the authors meant to write it, I would still say the same thing. I don't think you have to misunderstand, misuse. In fact, I'm very familiar with, not as much as someone like Justin, what the scholarship says was what the authors meant, and I still think it is worse for the world.
Well, I think when you take a literal interpretation of it, that's kind of where things can go wrong. And
I don't take all of it literally. There are parts I take literally, and there are parts I take like Psalms as Psalms. But there are parts where it is clear where they meant to be literal.
Everything else is metaphorical and just kind of a tool that leads you to Christ.
No, I'm sorry, you are incorrect, and you misunderstand the Bible, because the authors who wrote the Bible did not mean much of it as metaphor. Do you believe that the wars that they were fighting in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, the Israelites versus different groups of people, you think those were metaphors? Those wars didn't really happen?
Those wars? You think Jesus would support war?
Yes. Jesus Christ, if Jesus is God, he literally gave the commandments for that war and how to take sex slaves after the war. So the Bible says, yes, he would support it.
To Christ.
But then
so let me ask you, hold on, Jordan. Jordan, let me ask you then. You're a Christian, right?
I'm only here for 2 more minutes.
I don't really like labels, but you can call me a Christian for now. We can deal with that.
Do you believe the crucifixion actually happened and Jesus died for your sins that mankind may be redeemed?
Sure. I believe in the death, burial, and resurrection, yes.
There we go. Okay. So now, do you believe that the God of the Bible, the character of God in the Bible, both Old Testament and New Testament as Jesus, do you believe that what the Bible says God is, says, and does is an accurate depiction of God?
Not the God that I know. No, I would disagree with that. But,
so then Jordan, when we read the New Testament and we hear Jesus talking about the law of love and all the things that you like about him, how do we know that those parts are true and the parts in the Old Testament where God says to keep sex slaves after you get done committing genocide, that part is not true? How do you tell the difference?
Because I think the old part was just a bunch of people trying to figure out what was going on, trying to navigate.
That's not your question. Your question is how do we establish that? Yet he already gave you your conclusion. You believe the Old Testament isn't the word of God in the same way. How do we tell? What is the mechanism you go and you say, the Old Testament, boo, New Testament, yeah.
What's the mechanism?
Correct.
In what sense? Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Sure. You could say scientific inquiry, or in your case, you think about it and you go, I don't like the way this one makes me feel. So those feelings must come from God. Therefore, it doesn't work. That's what I think you're doing. I think you're post hoc going, here's what I think God would be like. Therefore, these verses don't match that, and these verses do. So I'm going to engage in confirmation bias. I think that's the mechanism. And cherry picking, that's the other mechanism. And I'm going to build the God that I like, and he's weirdly going to resemble my values. He's weirdly going to resemble my understanding. But you could say scientific inquiry, or you could say you go back to the books and you look at these moments and anything pre this historical figure you take as metaphor, because none of them even existed. Nobody existed until King David. Everybody before King David is totally made up. So then you start at King David because historically he's the first confirmed historical figure. Something I can work with. And then you'll have answered Forrest's question. As Jovan gets here, I don't know if I'll have time for my question, which is, why should I believe your God exists in the first place, that you have identified the correct God exists, and that you're any more trustworthy than the billions of other people with contradictory gods to yours who feel they believe for similar reasons? You can pick which direction you want to go.
I believe in the gospel because that's what it all led to. So regardless of all the other evil things that are stated in the Bible, it led to Jesus Christ, which is the greatest love story of all time, in my opinion.
Which gospel? First of all, Jesus is
the story of all time.
First of all, the story of Jesus.
Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. That's what the gospel is. The 4 books.
Who wrote those?
Those are 4. Okay, right, Jordan. Those are 4 different books that contradict each other.
Who wrote those?
Like, I'm trying to get to like also who wrote those is a good question.
Yeah, who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John?
For you as a non-believer, you don't believe, so you're not capable of
excuse me. You're wrong. It's called a testament. You are incorrect. It is called a testament. That it is actually specifically, as laid out in the book, meant to be the book you read and are brought to Christ. If anything, it's more made for non-believers. Yes, believers, if it was true, get to use it and go, oh, look at the great story. But it is literally a testament. It is testifying to that reality. It is made for non-believers. And I think Paul or Saul on the Damascus Road would have some arguments to have with you himself about who that story is for.
You have to talk over me because your argument falls apart.
Sir, you're saying I'm talking over you because I didn't stop talking when you tried to interrupt me. That's adorable. You literally, I was mid-sentence. Yes, you were. I was mid-sentence. You started talking and then accused me. You're doing it right now. I'm mid-sentence and you're talking over me right now and then accusing me of talking over you. Jordan, you are Jordan. We haven't even gotten to whether you're a religious hypocrite, and yet we already know you're a conversational hypocrite. Also, for Arden, the black on red on a small screen of the text versus the banner looks bad. You are incorrect. You literally have tried to interrupt every sentence I've said. You've started speaking before I stop talking every time. Yes, you are a conversational hypocrite.
You got to get it all out before someone else says something? Is that how a normal conversation works?
So you are admitting you're interrupting. You're just now justifying you're interrupting because I'm too long-winded? You are admitting it, though.
I give you credit because now you're stopping and letting me speak.
Is that correct? Are you admitting it? That it, in fact, based on what you just said, you're essentially saying, yes, I was interrupting, but you have to get everything out. That was your point. I'm long-winded, so you interrupted my long-windedness. Oh, look, you just did it again.
I just want to talk about the Bible with you, man. And it sounds like you what you just said a second ago is so fucking stupid. You said that the Bible wasn't meant for me, which Jimmy just laid out why.
Which was his response to the question, who wrote Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, by the way.
Right, but what's more important is, like, that is so silly because that is not a method of thinking that you would, I hope, is not a method of thinking that you would use for absolutely anything else. If I, as a biologist, came to you with some new biology lesson and I told you, you just have to believe it first and then you'll understand it, you would think that was really dumb. And yet, the creator of the universe needs to do that in order for you to what, be saved. And like, that is so fucking silly, man.
Jordan, you accept the Book of Mormon then?
No, I don't know much about it, but my understanding is
but it's true.
The Word of God,
but it's true. But the Book of Mormon is true, and it's the greatest story ever told.
You just have to believe it, and then you'll know.
Okay.
If you think Jesus was cool before, wait till you find out in the Book of Mormon he can teleport.
Your disbelief, then that's why you think it's contradictory.
I'm sorry, suspension of disbelief is excuse me, Jordan. Suspension of disbelief is something you do when reading fiction. That's literally
it doesn't matter if the Bible's literal or fiction. The only thing literal is the crucifixion.
I'm sorry. Yes, it does. Okay, excuse me, Jordan. Hey, Jordan, you said you accept Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as true. He pointed out they contradict. He pointed out pointed out, oh my God, and we love not talking over people as you interrupt me again. He pointed out Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John contradict each other. You're saying, therefore, it makes it fiction, but it doesn't matter if it's fiction. You're now conceding that the part earlier you said was true is fiction because it contradicts itself, but it's still true. Jordan, you are a terribly confused individual besides being a conversational hypocrite.
It's called a belief. Okay?
It's called a faith. Right. It's called a faith.
Something that's a belief
it's called faith.
Jordan.
Yes.
So Jordan.
Yes, I do.
So Jordan.
I do.
Do you care about whether or not you believe true things? Do you care about whether or not the things you believe are true?
Barely. What difference does it make? At the end of the day.
Well, there you go.
If it works,
he's trying to jump in like he's going to be the adult. Like this guy has any fucking chance.
No, this is actually the point that I wanted to get to. This right here, Jordan, is the problem. You don't care if it's true. You believe what you want to believe because you want to believe it because you want to believe it, and that's the end of the story.
I believe it
so there's no point
to me because it makes sense to me.
Right, but that's not how reality works, Jordan.
Thank
Things are either true or they're not. You have just decided.
How do you know we're not all in
you have just
right now? You're the ultimate of what
that is
yes, truth is?
And that is the laziest possible way of thinking, dude. And so what you're doing here is showing again and again.
It's the height of arrogance. Jordan,
it is.
Literally, we're saying we don't believe that your book, where magic happens, non-scientific things happen, is true. And your best argument when faced with how dumb that is to resort to, well, if you don't believe my magic man exists, shouldn't we question whether the universe even exists? The jump between those shows the arrogance of your fucking position. We're saying we don't believe in magic, even in a young girl's heart. And you're saying, therefore, we should question whether anything exists at all. That's fucking, and atheists get opposed to that. How that's literally arrogant. It's fun.
To assume that I haven't also is fucking weird. But that's not
arrogant.
Yes. No, your assumption that we haven't questioned reality and that you positing the laziest thought experiment of all time, well, what if we live in a simulation, bro, as a reasonable counter to is magic real?
Right. Literally.
That's fucking silly.
Literally, you're still doing it. He's still doing it.
None of it matters, Jordan.
You can't grasp, Jordan, the simplest concepts.
And Jordan, more importantly, none of it matters because whereas I go check and make sure what I think is true, and if it's not, I stop believing it, you just said a second ago, you don't care. You want to believe it, so you believe it. It doesn't matter if it's true or not.
If it's true or not, because there's no proof of God. That's why it's called belief.
No, it's called faith.
That's dumb.
It's faith,
a dumb
in that
way
it's an
to think.
unjustified belief.
It's actually not dumb at all.
Let me ask you this, Jordan. No, let me help you understand it. Is there anything,
if all you have
Jordan,
is to call me dumb, then you have nothing.
Ooh, Jordan, you've also mistaken. You've once again mistaken rhetoric. We called the belief dumb, not you dumb. That's you internalizing it. You failed once again in your conversation skills here.
Is there anything? Help me out here. Yes. Is there anything at all, Jordan, that you could not believe based on faith? The way that you believe in God, is there anything you couldn't believe in?
A person could believe anything. Yes, I think that's true.
Right. Now, turn it around. I'm a scientist. I care about evidence and fact-checking things. Is there anything that I couldn't believe in based on evidence and data and scientific rigor? Is there anything that I could not believe in this way?
Science is still based on a belief.
That's not an answer to the question. Is there anything that I could not believe in based on my scientific framework, my scientific worldview, my scientific understanding, my demand for evidence and data? Is there anything that I could not believe in my way of thinking?
You could not believe in the Bible because you're using your scientific reductionist view to try and prove that God's wrong.
Hey, Jordan, I'm going to make this really simple.
I'll answer the question for you, Jordan. I will answer the question for you because you are deliberately refusing to think about this.
He's being dumb on purpose.
The answer to the question is, I couldn't believe in anything that I didn't have evidence for or a good reason to believe in. Now, this is the difference between what we're talking about. You believe what you want to believe because you want to believe it, and it doesn't matter what's true. I believe in what I can verify. That's a major fucking difference. And the way that I think, Jordan, as you continue to interrupt me after bitching about people interrupting you, the way that I think, Jordan, is the reason why
Jordan, you just did it again.
Because because it is our show where you call in to ask questions, and now I'm explaining to you why.
That's how you win your arguments then.
My God! Yes, Jordan. It's so fucking easy when you have a conversation.
I muted Jordan for you. If you'll finish your point, I have one question for him, and then Jovan's here, so I will switch out.
Sure. The last thing that I need Jordan to understand is that my way of thinking, caring about facts and evidence, not just whatever I feel like believing today, is the reason that you are able to call us on the phone and act so silly right now, Jordan. Phones work, computers work, The internet works, modern medicine works, air conditioning works, airplanes work, vaccines work. All of these things work because of science and because we're able to check and make sure we're not just believing whatever the fuck we want to believe. You can try to reduce reality down to some unfalsifiable bullshit. Doesn't get you away from the fact that you have already admitted you don't even care about whether or not your beliefs are true. You just want to believe them. And I would never want to live that way. Jordan,
okay,
that
Jordan,
is my answer to you.
We're gonna make
and
this
now I'll let you say whatever.
We're going to make this extremely easy, Jordan. There's a jar. In that jar.
Nope. And God
hang on, Jordan.
And lots of
Jordan.
Find God.
No, they don't.
Okay, I've muted Jordan again because he thought he could talk over me because he thinks I have to go soon. You're going to answer my questions. Jordan, I'll mute. You're on mute. I'll give you the question while it's muted. There is a jar in front of you and another person. In that jar, you can see that there are 6 ping pong balls. You assert your belief that there are 6 ping pong balls on the basis that you counted them, and therefore you believe there are 6 ping pong balls in that jar. The person next to you, despite there being nothing else in the jar, asserts that they believe there are 100 pixies in that jar. There are no visible pixies. There are no pixies one could count, but they assert that they believe there are 100 pixies in that jar. Are the two beliefs equal? Are they equally valid as beliefs?
Even science is predicated on faith.
Are the two beliefs equal? I've muted you again since you are refusing. Are the two beliefs equal? He's hung up, which is sad, Jordan, because the next question would be, since you say predicated on faith, define faith. And we were going to find out he doesn't actually know what faith is. Anyway, Jovan
literally refused to think throughout this call and just got his fucking fifis hurt.
He literally just spammed platitudes. It was so boring so early, and I saw you had such hope for him, but I gave up.
There are some scientists. Oh no, it wasn't hope for him. It was hope to get to a conclusion that the audience can understand, because this show isn't about.
I knew he was going to refuse the whole time.
But fucking it bothers me to say I don't care if this is true. I just believe it. Okay, well I do care if things are true. Yeah, but you also believe things, right?
The point of the jar analogy was he was starting to essentially claim that beliefs are equal, that his belief in the Bible is equal to your belief in evolution, for example. Belief is one word. There's also the word knowledge. Knowledge is where belief and facts that I will say, some people say this in a way that I'm a little pedantic about, but technically it's where facts and beliefs overlap is where knowledge is, I think, where people say. I think you can actually believe something that's true and it not be knowledge if you don't know why it's true. There are probably people who believe in evolution for dumb reasons. They're technically right, but it's still a belief, not a knowledge. And so that was the point of the jar analogy. A belief,
I like the phrasing to say, like, when you have knowledge, it's when a belief is so strong it would be like completely absurd and contradict reality for you to try to deviate away from it. Kind of like I mean, it's like
But knowledge is a subset of belief. And so you can literally, beliefs can be things that have no justification or all the justification. And so the whole point of the jar analogy was he does not have, when he's saying they're the same, you have faith in whatever, even if we accept his colloquial use of faith, which I am reluctant to ever do because they're such fucking idiots about it. You give them that inch and they take 40 miles. Even if you grant that, okay, well then let's assess how justified is my quote unquote colloquial faith in science. Did I count the balls in the jar, or did I assert because somebody told me the pixies are there, but I don't actually know, I haven't counted them, and the person who counted the fucking ping pong balls and asserted that belief is far more justified than the other person, even if there's 7 balls and they missed one because they didn't count it, and further discovery, especially if they would then update it and go after further discovery, I realized there's actually 7 balls. That person is way more compatible with reality and not a fucking idiot. Whereas the other person, who's the pixies, would be melting down, like I already forgot the caller's name, melting down and be like, well, if you don't believe there's pixies, how do you even know there's a jar? Because I can see the fucking jar, you idiot. It's there. We can touch it. We can examine it. All right, Jovan can take over. I'm going to go pee, and then we got lots of chores to do tonight. Bye, everybody. I'm off choring.
Bye. It is just genuinely deeply frustrating to have someone just straight up refuse to participate in the endeavor of thinking. What are you doing here, you beautiful man?
I thought that was going somewhere way different. And we're like, why are you in this bed, boy? What are you doing here in these parts of the woods?
Welcome to the show, Jovan Bradley.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. Hey everybody, meet Jovan. Jovan's a recent addition to the show. He'll be sticking around for a little while.
Am I? Yeah. Oh, like this show. I thought you meant like recent. I was like, am I recent? I feel like I've been here.
I'm just saying dumb things.
How long have I been on the line at this point? How long's it been?
It's been a long time.
I think it's close to a year now.
Has it? God, my concept of time is all sorts of fakashed.
Yeah, I'm very tired. I am supposed to be. I gotta tell you, to everybody out there, we have 2 callers waiting on the line, but we have my glob. Never mind. I was about to say we have lines open. No, we have 6 people in the call-in queue, so lines are full at this moment. So we're gonna try to get through these. But we'll start digging in. If you're an atheist calling in, don't, because we're not gonna have time to take your call. We have one atheist who is on the line already. Jovan, are you cool talking about historical Jesus and evidence of the Roman Empire crucifying people? Because I don't know anything about that. That's not my area of expertise.
I mean, yeah, I don't necessarily understand their question that is in the call notes, but
let's go ahead and take them right now so we're not waiting forever with something we don't know. So, Anna, pronoun she and her, calling in all the way from Latvia, who wants to ask a question that I don't know if either of us can answer. Welcome, Anna. You're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. How you doing today?
Hello. It's just Anna, but
Anna. All right.
Yeah. Hi. Been watching for a while. Decided to ask a question because I've been trying to do some research on the whole historical Jesus question, and the main issue I have currently is that when people say the historical Jesus, they're trying to mesh together out a character of natural events. Like, they often completely rule out his early life because that's obviously based on Osiris and all that stuff. But I keep seeing a lot of secondhand declarations that that historians agree that there was Hebrew preachers going around the whole Palestine-Israel area who were preaching about the end of the world and gathering followings, and one of them could have.
What question are you specific? I'm just because we're short on time. What question are you specifically?
My question is, do we have any independent evidence that the Roman Empire actually crucified Jewish preachers like the Bible describes? Doesn't even have to be,
yeah, I mean, Josephus wrote about Rome doing mass crucifixions around the time.
They wrote about mass crucifixions against slave uprisings. Nothing about specifically the Israelites or the Jewish people. That's why
I'm pretty sure.
Confused about it.
Again, this is not my area of expertise, but I'm pretty sure the maybe I'm getting confused with the folklore, but the idea is that it wasn't that they were uprising slaves. It was anybody who is challenging the authority of the state. And that's like what supposedly Jesus was doing.
And
something like that.
Rome didn't kill any Jewish people because of their faith of being Jewish. Like, even Jewish preachers actually worked closely with Rome. It was, like Forrest said, it was specifically for the claims of kinghood.
Okay.
Kingonitis.
But those descriptions are specifically just general descriptions of the Romans did this to people who advocated for uprisings in general, but no specifics about those crucifixions on what kind of people they were.
Yeah, as far as I know, Rome didn't just like mass go on with like killing Jewish people just because they were Jewish. Typically, it had to be as a result of these uprisings.
Okay, well, I know you're not really experts in that, but it's question that I've been trying to look into, and the
Justin
internet
might
is
know more
terrible.
about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the best thing that I would tell you is like I would recommend you calling in when we have a Bible expert on the show. So we have we have Justin, Deconstruction Zone, who hosts regularly, and I think we actually have don't we have a new show called the Devangelicals that's I think on Saturdays. Okay, yeah. So that would be a good one to call in as well, the Devangelical show. They would be able to give you a lot more information than either Jovan or I will.
Thanks for your time. Have a
Most
great
definitely.
day.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you for calling in. I appreciate you. All right. I'm glad we didn't keep her waiting forever because I want to like have her on the line for 6 hours and like, sorry. But hey, we got Theus calling in now. Do you have one? I like line number 10. And then
I'm down with that.
Yeah, line number 11, I have a whole monologue for, so I think we should start with number 10. So let's start with Dylan, pronouns he and him, who wants to talk about Jesus. Dylan, you're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. How you doing today?
How's it going?
It's going, man. So, what did you want to talk about?
Do you believe that God saves people?
No, not in a real way. I feel like the story. So, first of all, just to be clear, I don't think this God is real, but like the story of Jesus saving people and all these things. It's the same kind of thing as like a mafia boss asking you for protection money, and if you don't pay for protection, they smash up your house and everything like that. Jesus is offering to save you from what he is going to do to you if you don't let him save you. That's not really saving. That's just extortion.
His word has never been proven to be wrong. Jesus, like who he says he is, the real way, has never been proven wrong.
What? That doesn't answer. That's not anything to do with what you're asking about. You asked if Jesus saves you. The gambit here being put forward is that if you don't believe in Jesus, you go to hell. And if you do believe in Jesus, you are saved from hell. Right?
Exactly.
Right. But God is the one who made hell. God is the one who made the rules of who goes to hell and who doesn't go to hell. And God is the one supposedly saving you from this hell. At the end of the day, Jesus is saving you from what he's going to do to you if you don't let him save you. That is not saving. That is extortion. That's racketeering.
I don't understand the point caller is making.
Your creator is God. Why would you not want to obey your God?
Because I don't obey. I don't like monsters and bullies. So I don't think this God is real, but I have read the Bible, and the God of the Bible is a monster. And even if we want to take the route of saying that the Bible isn't all accurate and God is actually blah, 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 any God who creates hell is a monster. And the entire concept of Jesus sacrificing himself for our sins is insane. If this God was really loving, kind, generous, good parent, father, blah, blah, all this stuff that we hear, then he would just forgive us for our wrongdoings, not make us with sin in the first place, change his mind on what sins are. He would allow us to be humans because he made us as humans. But instead, he made us broken, commanded us to be better, knew that we could not do that on our own, and so he killed his own kid to make a loophole in his own rules and bind us to a contract that I, for one, would never agree to because I don't believe in human sacrifice. It's a stupid, broken system. It's a stupid system, Dylan, and I wouldn't agree to it even if it was true.
Why did God want a blood sacrifice, Dylan?
Why? So dumb.
Your creator.
Why would the creator want a blood sacrifice, Dylan?
Because I was born into sin.
Why?
Why couldn't he... Wait, Dylan. Could God forgive your sin without a blood sacrifice?
No.
So he's not all-powerful.
He requires a blood sacrifice. He killed his kid, exactly as you said.
So
why did he require a blood sacrifice, Dylan?
So that means he's not all-powerful and he's not all-loving, right? There's something that he can't do and things that he can't love you enough to forgive without murdering somebody.
Yep.
That is not love and that is not power. That's weakness, cowardice, fear, violence, anger, rage, not worthy attributes for a god.
I agree.
I mean, I'm glad you admit that your God is a bad person.
Right.
I didn't say that. I agree he murdered his son.
Right. That's what bad people do.
Yeah, I've never heard of a good person that murdered his son.
God did. God murdered his son.
My statement still stands. I've never heard of a good person who's murdered his son.
Well, let me ask you, Dylan, do you have anybody in your life that you love very much?
Jesus.
I'm talking about a human that is currently alive.
Yeah, Jesus. He rose from the dead. He's alive.
A human being who is currently alive in the world with us today, who is flesh and blood, whose hand I could shake in person physically if I so chose. Do you have any of those people in your life?
His name is Jesus Christ.
Okay. Please show me where Jesus is in physical form and I can physically shake his hand right now.
I met Jesus.
Not what I asked you. Could you please tell me where Jesus is in physical form?
Is this one real?
And I
is this real?
Physically touch his body right now. I don't think he is. I'm giving him like 2 chances before I'm sure about it.
I met Jesus. I'm perfect.
Yep, there you go. So at the end of the day, Dylan, I don't think you're serious. I think you're trolling with us. But the problem is, Dylan, what I want you to know is that there's this thing called Poe's Law where without context, it is impossible to tell if somebody's fucking with you and just being stupid or if they actually seriously just are that way. And that's where we're at right now. Because Christianity sounds so fucking insane that you sitting here refusing to think about the things we're offering you and just saying, well, yeah, God can do whatever he wants. He's perfect. That's what it actually sounds like. So I don't know if you're actually a Christian or not. I think you are a troll. But I want you to know, if you are a Christian, I want to thank you because you are helping us lead people away from God by showing just how fucking silly Christianity actually sounds.
You are God's weakest soldier, Dylan.
You sound real like an actual Christian for most of this call. You tipped your hand here at the end. But like, I just want to this is what it sounds like for real.
He's perfect. God can do whatever he wants. He's perfect.
Yeah, that's called, and see, again, I don't think you're serious, but just for the people watching,
Dylan,
that's called might makes right, and that's bullshit. That's
wait, Dylan, who told you God was perfect? Who told you that?
Oh, good question.
I fell in love with Jesus Christ. He can do no wrong.
Who told you that?
I fell in love with Jesus Christ. He can't do anything wrong.
I know there's some like erotic thing between you and Christ. Who told you God was perfect? I don't want to hear about your sex tapes. I want to hear about who told you.
The Word of God.
Should I say it in a different language? Will that help?
It probably would.
Palabra, like palabra, Dios, the Word of God.
So God told you God was perfect.
He spoke a different word.
Exactly.
He's not serious.
So the reason you believe God is perfect, so could God lie?
I never heard
God be lying to you?
Speak a lie.
You've never heard God say a lie, so you didn't read the Bible?
Oh, I was going to say you haven't read Genesis where he does that.
If you've never heard God tell a lie, you've never opened the Bible.
He does that a couple of times, actually. He does that in Genesis. I think he does it in Isaiah as well. Yeah, literally the first lie ever told is from God. But there's also that other part where he straight up says that he's going to spread lies in order to get. I think it's in Ezekiel.
I'm tripping balls. He sent a lying spirit. Yeah, I'm tripping balls. He sent a lying spirit. You're right.
You're tripping something. Dylan, how do you know that God's not just lying to you about saying that he's perfect?
You're right. He sent a lying spirit. He sent a lying spirit before.
Dylan,
I think he's back one thought on everything. Every time we give him a new thought, he has to sit there on the old thought for a while. I'm like 98% sure Dylan is just looking.
Dylan, what's your favorite verse in the Bible?
Yeah, you're right. He sent also an angel of death.
Yeah, he's trolling. Thanks for calling, Dylan.
Yeah. He sent.
We hit our 8-minute mark.
Yeah. I wanted to let it go from it, and the reason why I wanted to let you have fun with it, but also, as I said during the call, this is what Christians sound like. Like I want to be clear. I know plenty of Christians and they're good folks. I know plenty of Muslims and they're good folks. And I know plenty of Jews and they're good folks. And I know a couple of Hindus and they're good folks. Religious people, good people, by and large. No problem with religious people. Problem is with religion. And you know why? Because we couldn't tell Dylan was joking for a while. That's what it sounds like. That's what it does to your fucking brain. To twist yourself into a fucking knot just to excuse away the creature that you believe in. You saw the same thing with the last caller, Jordan, who was getting all pissed off about Jimmy, literally said out loud, I don't care if it's true. It doesn't matter to me if it's true. I want to believe it, so I do. And I can say the whole Bible's wrong because the New Testament is right. But most of the New Testament is wrong because Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are right. But I don't care if they contradict each other because the crucifixion and resurrection is real. But I don't care if it's real because I believe it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. It destroys your fucking brain. I want to talk to line number 13. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool with 13.
All right. Let's talk to Chris, who wants to challenge us on the Bible being bad. Chris, how are you doing today? You're on the line with Forrest and Jovan. Now, Chris, the reason why I wanted to take your call first, Chris, here, really quickly, I see you have no pronouns listed. We have almost 3,000 people watching you right now. When those people refer to you, would you like them to call you a he, a she, a they, or something else?
Really, I'm a man, so I'm a male. That's what I am. I don't need pronouns to present what I look like.
And which of those pronouns would you use for yourself if someone was referring to you? So as a man, as a male, would you like people to refer to you as he, she?
He, him, but...
He, him. Awesome. There we go. See how easy that was, Chris? Super, super easy. That's how pronouns work. You prefer to be called he, him, so everybody, this is Chris, pronouns he, him.
I know how they work very well, but...
Cool. Just weird that you had to have a whole thing about it then. So, Chris, this is everybody, this is Chris.
So
you do.
The Bible.
You just said
believe the Bible is evil.
You just said I don't go into pronouns. I's a pronoun. So this is just basic grammar, Chris. That's all it is.
Thanks.
We just want to make sure everybody refers to you properly. We're trying to be polite to you. So now that we got that out of the way, everybody, this is Chris. Pronouns he, him. Who wants to talk about the Bible? Chris, what about the Bible do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about where you guys prove that the Bible is evil. Okay, because if we say that the Bible is evil, right, then we got to go and say that every other religion is evil. And
I would go a step further. I would say all of them are evil then. I would go a step further, friend Chris. I would say that the Bible is not evil, God is evil. And because the Bible dictates the word of God, that's what makes the Bible evil.
Yeah, I would just be very clear with you here because it sounded like you were trying to get the slippery slope. And I want to be clear about it. Yeah. The Bible's just a book, but the God character in the Bible is evil. And yes, I do believe the gods of other religions are evil. And yes, I am against religion as a whole in general. I am an anti-theist. And so, yes, that's what I was just saying a minute ago. God is evil. Any God is evil, especially the God of the Bible is evil.
I would make a clarification on that, and I would just say any God who is all powerful is evil.
That's
if you create a deity who is not all powerful, I probably wouldn't go as far as to say they're evil on rip without more information. But any all powerful deity is absolutely evil.
That's a good point as well. But there are different gods on offer, but especially the tri-omni God. It's illogical and unreasonable.
Yeah, if your God has the omni properties, he's an evil son bitch.
Right.
So here's my question with even if the Bible or the God is evil, what is it gotta have to do with if it's making actual humans out there in the world be a positive person to society? Like,
I don't think it's doing that.
If that's what helps them drive, if the Bible is what helps drive people to be civilized, why is that?
I don't think it's doing that either.
Because the way they want to believe it's no different than having someone that you look up to or someone that is
like a role model to you.
Chris, we don't believe the Bible is doing that. You would have the burden of proof here to prove that the Bible is actually doing that. I would say the Bible is responsible for the fact that we're probably 500 years behind where we should be in modern science.
Right.
I would make the claim. Go ahead first.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. I was just going to say that, I would point out, Chris, that there are plenty of people that benefit from the Bible and that makes them do good things and whatever like that. There are also equally as many, if not substantially more people who are evil and awful people because of the Bible, because the Bible is just a book, and the Bible itself is fucking terrible. It teaches hideously evil things, and every now and then it has a little bit of good in there.
Poorly written.
But you can get all the good things that you get out of the Bible, all the good life lessons and all that stuff. You can get those from the Lord of the Rings. You can get those from Harry Potter. You can get those from just your own mind. You can get those from talking and building community with your friends. And you don't have to go through a book that condones slavery, condones rape, condones genocide, condones murder, is just a fucking evil book. So, yes, the Bible helps some people.
Okay,
you don't need it to be a good person, and it hurts a lot of people too. So, not worth it.
Okay, question. So the slavery, yes, all that stuff happened through the history and past. If it wasn't for the Christians, majority of the slavery would not have been ended.
That's not true.
You know that, right?
That's not true. No, that's not true.
So who was the first group to end slavery? To fight to end slavery?
Like anywhere? Haiti.
Yeah, I think it was the
I guess France. I guess you could go even further. France abolished in 1794.
What religion were they? And what religion were they? Because the further we go back into years, the Christian faith was much stronger than it is now.
So hold on. Wait, real quick first. Hold on before we get there. France abolished slavery in 1794. They were a predominantly Catholic nation. Napoleon Bonaparte then reinstated slavery in 1802. Napoleon Bonaparte was Catholic. So
that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is you're sitting here saying, well, the Christians ended slavery. The Christians were also the ones doing the slavery. So if you stop beating your wife, if you stop beating your wife, Chris, I'm not going to give you a medal
because of the religion basis.
Chris,
because of the religion basis and belief.
Wait, Chris, no. They used the religion to promote slavery. There were Leviticus, the verse in Leviticus about slavery was written on slave auction advertisement in the U.S. So no, it's not.
I'm not arguing that. I am not arguing.
Imagine,
that, okay?
But Chris, imagine.
That.
Chris. But wait, Chris. Imagine I'm punching Forrest in the face. Imagine I'm brutally beating the shit out of this person I consider a dear friend, and then I stopped doing it, and I was like, aren't I benevolent for stopping punching you in the face?
That's not how that
works. Yes.
Here's the thing: when you have a trend, everyone's doing it, right? Am I wrong? When there's a trend,
well, the only reason they're doing it is because God told them they could.
Politics,
the only reason they were doing it is because God told them they could.
At that time, whether it's in politics, whether it's in businesses models, whatever it is,
right?
At that time,
Chris,
it's just normal, okay? Now,
Chris, do you think? No, hold on, Chris. We're not going to let you get away with that. We're not going to let you get away with that, Chris. We're not going to let you get away with that because it goes against your faith. Do you think that in the time of the Old Testament, in the time of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, do you think that people were eating shellfish and wearing garments of mixed fabric and planting multiple crops in the same field and trimming the sides of their hair and beard? I think they fucking were. And God, in your book, has the time to say, do not do these things. He makes strict laws against them. But when it comes to slavery, he doesn't just forget to mention it. He tells them to do it. He says, here's how to do it. Here's where to buy your slaves. Here's where to beat your slaves. Here's how to pass your slaves down as property. Exactly. God gives instructions for slavery, not against it. So you don't get to say it was just a trend. The God of the Bible is clearly fine with breaking trends. That's the entire point of the story of Jesus, is going against the norm and breaking trends and being persecuted by the state. That's the entire story. But when it comes to slavery, he's cool with it, and he endorses it.
The trend thing doesn't make sense because at the time God in the Bible tells the Israelite people they can buy slaves, they didn't have any slaves because they had just been freed from slavery. So they get free from slavery, and one of the first things God tells them is, now you can start owning people yourself. If God didn't want us to own slaves, he could have just said, don't do it, like Forrest said. He could have said, like he told us, don't eat shellfish. He could have said, don't own another human being as property. But instead he says, go ahead and own other people as property. It's chill with me. That's not good.
I'm not saying it's not good. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is during those times and years, it was the normal thing.
Do you acknowledge that? Do you acknowledge that the Israelite people?
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's right.
Hold on, Chris. Do you?
It was acceptable. Okay, but
Chris, well, God did. God said it was. God said it was right and acceptable.
Were other people?
God specifically
had the money.
Chris,
if you were one of the wealthy ones. Go on.
Chris. God specifically says it's okay and acceptable. He says this explicitly.
Like, that's what bothers me, man, is that your God is apparently powerful enough.
Where does he say that it is okay to have slaves?
Your male and female slaves may come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy the foreigners who live among you, and you may pass them down as inherited property to your children so that they can become slaves for life. Leviticus 25, 44 to 46. It's the rules that he gave to the Israelites when he gave Moses rules on Mount Sinai.
And it's not the only time that it comes up either. He says it over and over. And he even has different rules for Hebrew slaves. He says if your slave is a Hebrew person, then you have to let them go after 7 years. But
Hebrew male.
If they come, yes, if they're a Hebrew male. Because if they're a male and they come in single, you can give them a wife. And then their wife and any children that they have, they stay your slaves forever and are your property. And the only way that he gets to stay with his wife and kids is if he also agrees to remain your property forever. And if they're not Hebrew, it doesn't matter. They're just animals to be used as property. He has different rules for different ethnic groups.
He also gives us rules on beating our slaves. He says, again, giving Moses rules in the Exodus, he says anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished, but only if the slave dies within 2 days. And if the slave does not die within 2 days, you cannot punish him because the slave is their property. Then you have Paul in the New Testament going, slaves must obey their earthly masters, whether they're kind or cruel, just like you would obey Christ. Like, God is pro-slavery every turn of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he would have said, don't
do slaves.
And he didn't.
He was powerful enough to drown the entire world because he regretted making humans. That's what it says. He says he regrets making us, and so he drowns every living thing on Earth except for, I guess, aquatic animals. And yet, when it comes to humans owning other humans as property, fuck it, man. I don't want to go against the norm. I don't want to get laughed at or bullied or anything. Like, what is this, dude? It's a
He says, that's just too, I can't figure that one out. I can ban shellfish, though. Don't eat shrimp.
I let you guys go on. Can I speak? I mean, you guys just...
Sure.
I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not trying to overtalk over you guys, but I do. I mean...
I didn't think we were being disrespectful, but okay.
No. I'm trying to have a civil conversation. I just don't want you guys to be muting me or whatever. I don't want to talk over you. So I understand what you guys are saying. And
please understand, we're going to interrupt if you please. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. You did just start talking. I'm going to shut up. I just want to make sure you're understanding. We will have to cut in if you say something that's like really fucking weird or untoward. That is because that is the point of the show. I hope you don't take it as us trying to be an asshole to you.
Okay, but
I don't interrupt. I don't interrupt substance. I only interrupt things that have no substance or are irrelevant.
Right.
But if it's got substance, I want to hear it.
And now I will shut up, Chris. Go ahead.
So you're going to disregard everything that goes beyond that, where he actually goes into trying to dissolve slavery. That
only for Israelites.
None of that means anything. I mean, it starts off in the early years, and then it goes on.
He's only ever
shows a concern about
no,
slavery.
just for Israel. He's only ever cared about if Israelite people were slaves. Everybody else, he doesn't care.
And in that case, he only cares about it if they are behaving, because the entire book of Judges is just literally the same story over and over and over, where the Israelites complain, they're free, and then they complain, and God sells them back into slavery, and then murders all their slavers, and then they're free, and then they complain, and God puts them back into slavery. It happens several times. That's the whole book of Judges.
And the last conversation you guys had with the other guy was like, tell me a person that you could touch, feel free, and shake hands with. You can't do that with God. So how are you guys saying that God is doing this?
Chris, when we have these conversations about whether God is evil, we treat God in the Bible as if it is a fictional tale of a fictional character. So like it would be the same way as if I say Darth Vader once force choked Luke Skywalker, right? We don't think he actually did this, but in the canon of the story, he did.
So what you're saying is because of the book, this is what it's telling people to go do. Because slavery ended now. No. The Christians that ended the slavery.
I'm not saying that the book commands slavery ownership. In some cases, it does command sex slavery ownership. But I'm not saying the book commands slavery ownership. What I'm saying is that God said it was a morally okay thing to do, and he has never once in the canon of the Bible taken that back.
And that's the whole point that we were talking about at the beginning. You were asking, is the Bible so bad and is it so evil and other things? And what we're telling you is there are good parts in the Bible. I like certain stories in the Bible, but there's nothing in the Bible that's good that we can't get from anywhere else or that we couldn't reason out on our own without having to dig through the Bible. Because as we mentioned, there are plenty of cases of people. What good thing could we not have learned without the Bible? What good moral lesson would we be without?
It's the history. By knowing the history, we do not repeat history. If we didn't know
that's not
history,
true either.
Then we're always destined to repeat it.
Wait, Chris, we knew the history. Chris, that's fundamentally not true. We knew the history of slavery from the Hebrew people, yet America still did a slavery.
And even the Confederates,
not true.
Slavery the Confederates, was still going on at that time.
If you look,
slavery was brought to the New World in slavery was brought to the New World in 1619.
Done with it and
there wasn't
slavery.
No, first of all, again, the Christians were not the first to end slavery. It's just not true.
If you look at the Articles of Secession, the Declaration of Secession from many Confederate states, including especially Texas, is a great one to look at. It specifically says that the superiority of white people and the inferiority and subjugation of black people and the institution of slavery is a Christian tradition which any Christian nation would uphold because it is ordained by God. So you have this thing, you're saying we would be doomed to repeat the history. They use the Bible to repeat the history. And I also think it's ridiculous to say that we wouldn't know the history without the Bible. The whole point of biblical archaeology is to go back and look at history and say what does and does not align with the Bible. We're able to learn history and keep records and look at this stuff without the Bible.
Right? These are the stories of what happened in actual history. Okay, now if you want to go say that if we didn't have this Bible, we'd be 500 years ahead because of science.
But also,
we may be 500 years ahead, but I'll tell you the history wouldn't be there if we just focused 100% on
But let's talk about the history real quick, because the Bible just makes stuff up because there's no evidence of the Exodus at all. That's not a historical claim, right?
There's also
the
no
Exodus,
Tower of Babel. There's also no flood.
The Exodus makes a claim that thousands of people spent 40 years walking from Egypt to Jerusalem. And it not only says this, but it tells us like the exact route they walked. And there is no evidence of a group that when humans move in that large of a group, there's evidence for it. We have evidence for almost every mass migration of people. There's none for that. There's no archaeological evidence. There's no written evidence except for the Bible. Egypt writes about their losses all the time. They never wrote about losing thousands of Egyptian or Hebrew slaves.
Egypt literally keeps fucking tax records and records of harvest and shit like that. And they didn't mention the fact that their god king drowned with their entire army all at once. Like, no. And also all of these people disappeared. None of it. So, like, the Bible isn't an historical document. It has a ton of historical inaccuracies, a ton of scientific inaccuracies, and not to mention the times that it contradicts itself. We could learn history without it. We don't need it for history because it's not an historical document. And it doesn't make any sense to say that we would repeat history without it.
History without it, because
we have other records
look like, or predictions of what specific ice age animals look like, based off of their shape and form.
We had that before the Bible.
But
we had that before the Bible.
True exterior element.
We had all of this before the Bible.
What are you talking about? This is literally like, you know, the Bible isn't like the first thing anybody ever wrote down, right? We have thousands of years of history before the Bible was ever written. That's its own verification that we can look at.
that doesn't talk about the Bible?
Like, what history are you talking about specifically? Like, when you're saying we wouldn't
I'm just talking about if you look at it on a history through a science aspect, without no stories or written document to go over.
The Bible wasn't the first written document.
There was people
it wasn't even the first written down history.
Did you really, truly know their lifestyle down to
the Bible doesn't tell
100%?
us this. The Bible doesn't tell us the lifestyle of the Israelite people. It writes stories that the Israelite people use. No, it doesn't.
Slavery and not slavery. So that means
that's not talking about the lifestyle. You don't know what the average person in. Wait, you have no clue what the average person in Israel did day to day just because you've read the Bible. You have no clue about that.
So
we know what their laws were, but that's because they based their laws around divinity. They didn't base their laws around some like democratic system. It was just here's what we think God told us.
What you're describing right now is literally just how archaeology works. There's cultural historical archaeological theory, then there's processual archaeological theory, and then there's post-processual archaeological theory. Cultural historical is what I think you're just assuming everything is here, where we literally just have, these are the pot shards we're finding on the ground, these are the spearheads we're finding on the ground, this is all we know that they were. That's the most basic, rudimentary, the most verifiable kind of archaeological theory, right? Then you have processual, where you're actually doing science on those things. Take a scraping from the inside of the pots to learn what they were putting in those pots, help you build an ecological picture. What were these humans doing at this time? How were they living? What was going on? And then post-processual archaeology is, what did it mean to be a human in this area? What was their day-to-day life like? What did it feel like in this scenario? What were they interpreting these symbols as? What were their rituals all about? So we do have ways of learning these things. We don't need the Bible for it. The Bible helps because the Bible is a collection of stories from these times that like have been largely edited and mistranslated for the past couple thousand years. We can use this as a record of like understanding human storytelling and thoughts and traditions and stuff. But the actual reality of what was going on in these times, that's what archaeology is all about, dude. And we don't need the Bible to know that or anything before that.
But you also can't just take passages out of a Bible, because that's full interpretation of the full context.
How does that get me away?
Like what we do right now with like our actual, like in social media, we post one-liners that just make people just go crazy without reading the whole complex of the story. I mean,
I'm sorry. What context? Wait.
What you're trying
wait. Hold on. Let's analyze this. Let's analyze this. Take any story from the Bible. Let's take Numbers. Let's take Moses and the Israelites slaughtering the Midianites. What context makes it okay when Moses goes, kill everything that breathes?
It's just that line, right? But did you read the pages before? What led up to that point?
Right. No, that's what he's asking. He's asking, is there anything in those previous pages that could have possibly justified it? When God commands, kill every man and woman and infant, baby, child, but keep the virgin girls for yourself. When God commands that, what could there possibly be in the page leading up to it that would make that okay? What context do you think we could possibly miss that makes it okay to kill all the babies but keep the little girls for your sex slaves? What is the context, Chris?
You got to go into the full story with it. I don't
Chris,
know.
We're asking you, what is the... Chris, is there any context in which slaughtering babies is okay?
There would be no context. For me, there would be no context. But at the same point is, if you have a group of people that are very radical and they're bringing up everyone underneath them to be very radical and there's no point in turning them,
and it's okay to kill babies.
I mean, if someone's at a lost cause, what are you supposed to do if all they're going to do is go around keep killing certain types of people?
So, Chris,
how are babies a lost cause?
So if someone's super
babies
radical,
are a lost cause, bro.
No, that's so.
They're
Chris,
babies.
just to be clear, your stance here is, if a civilization is super radical, then it's okay to kill their babies and suckling infants, but keep their virgin girls for your own sex slaves to do whatever you want. That's now okay.
That's not okay in my mind.
But that's what you just said.
On the younger generation is what I said. I said nothing about the girls.
But that's what the Bible says, and that's what we asked you. You kept saying you need to read the full context. So the question is, here's in the Bible, God says, kill every man and woman and child and infant and suckling babe. And he says, cut open the women who are pregnant and make sure their fetuses are dead inside of them. And he says, keep the virgin girls for yourself. They're going to become your brides. They are spoils of war. What we are asking you, Chris, is, you who says we need the context, what possible context could there be that would make that a good commandment from God?
There is no reason for a good commandment with that. I'm not going to argue.
Exactly.
Because I know
exactly.
I'm against violence,
and so,
but at the same time,
exactly.
There is
and so,
also times that
when you have that in the Bible, and so Chris, when you have that in the Bible,
hold on, Forrest, wait, because I want to just make sure he's understood about this. This isn't just war happened. Originally, the Israelite soldiers spared all of the children boys. They bring all of the children boys and all of the children girls back to Israel, and Moses says, kill all of those boys. They actually spared all of the children and all of the women. And he said, nope, kill all of those boys and kill any woman that has lied with a man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a sometimes there's war casualties. These were not casualties until Moses said, kill them.
There's also the story of fucking Saul and David, where God anoints Saul as king, gives him the same commandment, go kill every single man, woman, and baby in that. He specifically says infants and suckling infants. He specifically says infants, babies, suckling. He makes very clear. And all of their donkeys and cattle and camels, every living thing in this field. And King Saul keeps some of the cattle as spoils of war. And so God is so angry with him that he strips him of his kingship, torments him with demons and drives him insane, and puts David in as king and has David go commit genocide the right way. This is never a mistake. God is very clear. Kill the babies. Kill every single person I tell you to kill. And we're still talking about slavery, and we're still talking about sex slavery, and we're still talking about rape, and this is just the genocide. This is what we're talking about, Chris. You can find a good passage in the Bible. I like the passage where it says, if you have a farm, you shouldn't harvest all your crops. You should leave some of them for people passing by who are hungry. I think that's a charming idea.
A Bible should just be all good. That's what a Bible should be.
If it's from an all good God, yes.
If your God is all good,
I would heavily question to not be true.
If your God is all good, then he should only do good things. If your God is all good, then there should be no evil from him. But God says in the Bible, he makes evil. Evil is his creation. He takes pride in it. Your God cannot be all good and also command slavery and genocide and rape and shit. That isn't how that works. And what we're trying to get across to you here is you have a character in this book that is a fucking monster. Selfish, arrogant, prideful, cruel, unnecessarily stupid. And he is the main character in a book.
There's other Bibles out there that are even worse than this Bible.
Nobody said there aren't.
But apparently that's
Nobody
okay.
said
those are right now.
No, it's not.
Right now, those are considered okay.
Wait. Hold on, Chris. If I sat here and told you, hey, breast cancer is really bad, does that mean I think all other cancers are good?
Then we need to make sure we're specific and not just talk about the Holy Bible and these.
No, we don't.
That's
Chris, do you celebrate
Bible.
Chris, have you ever have you ever rocked a pink ribbon for breast cancer?
Yeah.
How come you didn't rock a rainbow ribbon for all? How come you don't wear? How come you're not making sure you're talking about all cancers, Chris?
Why do you like prostate
Why do you like all other cancers? And why is all other cancers good? This is how this argument sounds.
No cancer is good.
But you don't say
religion is good.
You don't say all cancers. You're just saying breast cancer.
You are labeling.
Right.
You are labeling the Holy Bible. Okay.
Right, Chris. Because the Bible.
That's what you're labeling.
Because the majority of this country.
The Bible as
Chris,
this feels like you didn't.
Okay.
This feels like you didn't listen to us at the start of this conversation. First of all, the Bible.
I did
wait, hold on, Forrest.
I did listen.
Wait, because I want to just point out, Chris. I just want to point out something to you, Chris.
The argument should be
Chris.
that
Chris. I want to point something out to you, Chris. The Bible is in the Jewish holy text, and the Old Testament and New Testament is in the Islamic holy text. So that same God of that. Like, if we're talking about the three main religions, it would be the same God. He would be evil across all three.
Right. We're criticizing all religions, Chris. And the fact of the matter is, the majority of the people in this country believe in the Bible, and they worship the God of the Bible. And it just so happens that Christianity, specifically Christian nationalists, are hurting our country right now and putting us and our families and our loved ones in danger. So, yeah. We're talking about the Bible. If I was doing this show living in Saudi Arabia, I would probably be criticizing the Quran more. But I happen to live in the United States where the Bible is a serious problem. So that is what we were criticizing.
If you end something, but here's the thing is, how is the Christian Bible harming us today when we got where we are based off of conservative and Christian values? When you go look at any other country that other religions have gone into, they have not. None of them have excelled like America.
What?
That's just
none of them.
No. That's
fundamentally untrue.
Chris,
fundamentally untrue.
That is just your American exceptionalism and ethnocentric bias being confused with evidence. That's not true. First of all, Christian nationalism, the people who believed in the Bible, as we said earlier, they were also the ones who did slavery and the ones who committed genocide against the Native Americans. That's how we got to where we are in terms of that. We built this country off the enslavement of one people and the genocide of another people, all done by Christians.
Tell me one country that was once Christian that has now converted to some other religion that has actually gone forward and not backward. Please tell me one.
Does it matter?
Huh?
Yeah, it does matter because that's the thing that I just made, and you're saying off of my basis. There's
America's never been America's never been a Christian nation. America has never been a Christian. I think that's just silly. America's never been a Christian nation to begin with.
I'm not talking about America. America's pretty much always been primarily. I mean, that's how it kind of started off of.
But like, if you want to talk about countries that have reached, if you want to talk about countries that have reached where we are,
majority within
if you want to hold on, if you want to talk about. Stop, Chris. Japan is not a Christian nation. They're on par with us they're outpacing us in a lot of areas. But like economically, they're on par with us. China is on par with us. China's not a Christian nation. India is emerging as a relevant new super.
They never started out as a Christian nation either. They never started out. I said one that used to be a Christian that was gone. But
that's the point we're making. That's the point we're making. You don't need Christianity to move forward. You don't need Christianity to move forward.
That's why I asked you.
Japan has never been a Christian-based country.
Exactly. You don't need exactly, Chris. So you don't need Christianity to reach a level of success as a country. You don't need it.
That's why I asked you, does it matter? Because there are examples of people who have gotten significantly worse off when Christianity was introduced to them. That doesn't mean they were ever Christian to begin with, and that doesn't mean they were Christian and then they stopped being Christian. None of that. Just, this is a non-point. This is just the next whataboutism. The fact of the matter is, Christian belief has led to a tremendous amount of harm. It hurts a lot of people in the past and today. And that's what we're arguing against. Other religions are also harmful. We don't like any gods on this channel. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Christianity because it's an existential threat to the United States where we live.
How is it a threat to the United States?
Because we have people right now in office who, because of their Christian belief, want more wars, want the Middle East to be in more conflict because it will bring about the end times. It will bring about Jesus Christ.
So you think that if we're not Christian, if let's say America we all just said we're done with being Christians, we're no longer going to be Christians, we're just going to be, just atheists. That's what we're going to be. Okay? We're going to believe in science, 100%. Do you?
Well, I mean, that's how we run our country. But yeah.
Let's just say it happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the argument that we're trying to prove to make a change, right? This is what you're trying to change.
Sure.
Is so that people aren't become Christians, and then people leave their Christian values and they become atheists or whatever. They just don't believe in the Christian Bible, correct? That's this argument is what we're trying to prove. So if that happens, do you think that there's other religions out there that aren't going to still come after America? And because we no longer have Christian values,
I don't think there are any religions. Wait, Chris, there are no religions coming after America.
I literally just said to you, Chris, that we are against all religions and all gods. I'm not a fan of Islam. I'm not a fan of Hinduism. I'm not a fan of any of these religions. I think that they all have problems. Christianity is the major dominant religion in America, the major dominant religion of the American government. And even though it is not our official religion, and this has never been a Christian nation, it is currently hurting people. It is Christian nationalism that is leading the charge on homophobia, on transphobia, on sexism, on racism, on war, on so many things that are destroying this country. Yes, other religions are bad. I'll say it again and again until you get it. But if everyone in America threw away their Christianity, America would be a safer, better, happier place.
Do you honestly believe that?
I just said it on purpose.
Do you believe the thing you just said? Yes.
I don't believe that it would be a safer place because
but you can't ground that belief in anything.
I mean, you go look at half of these people out there without any type of faith or anything to believe in. They lose their mind.
I don't believe in your God, and I have
no. I'm sorry.
Not even have.
I'm sorry. Who, Chris?
Who right now can't even have a conversation like we're having
Chris,
right now.
Chris, who are these people?
Just general people out in the street.
Just general people. Just general people.
You're saying, Chris, you're making so many vagaries. What was the last? Chris, what was the last major bout of violence that took place in the U.S. that was done by an atheist?
I mean, it depends on what you're. I mean,
depends on what.
I don't know how to answer that question because I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
Let me ask you a question. Were the people that dropped Chris, were the people that dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and killed millions of people, were they atheists or Christian?
Christian.
Okay, were the people that bombed the absolute hell out of Vietnam and killed thousands of innocent people, were they Christian or were they atheist?
Christian.
Okay. What about the people that indiscriminately bombed North Korea, killing 2 to 3 million?
It was America. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're Christian.
You said America. So now America is not a Christian nation because it was a Christian nation when you were praising it. But now it's not a Christian nation when you're...
It is primarily a Christian nation. It is.
Okay, so was the nation... I'll change the way I'm saying it. I'll change the way I'm saying it. I'll change the way I'm saying it.
And everyone there
I'll change the way I'm saying it. I'll change the way I'm saying it. I'll change the way I'm saying it. Hold on, Chris. Was the nation that killed 2 to 3 million civilians in North Korea, dropping 635,000 tons of explosives on civilians, was that a nation of Christians? Was that a Christian nation?
But was this a religious war, or was this a political war?
Let's.
Sure.
Okay.
Can you show me? Can you show me any nation? One more question for us. One more question.
And then there's an actual religious war.
Chris, can you show me one? Can you show me one? Chris, can you show me one atheist nation that's ever done this?
I don't believe there is an atheist nation.
Oh well, there we go.
There are plenty, but like the thing here, Chris, what we're trying to get to.
What nation is atheist?
China. Scandinavian countries, Japan is largely atheist. There's a few. I believe Israel is actually predominantly secular, but that's definitely not.
No, their country is atheist. Their country, there's no religious. Their state has no religion.
Is my fucking video chugging? Yeah. It's just way
You
behind.
seem like you seem fine on me.
It just caught up for me. The whole thing here, Chris, that we're trying to get across to you.
They have their own religions, though.
Albania claims that they're atheist. Albania said we're the very first ever atheist country.
And here's the thing, dude. You can find any country ever that is going to do bad things. You can find any person ever that's going to do bad things. There are bad atheists out there. The thing that we're trying to get across to you here is that there is no good thing that a Christian can do that an atheist could not also do. But there are a shitload of hideous, evil things that somebody would do in the name of Christianity that you would never get an atheist in the name of atheism doing. The genocide of the Native Americans, the government was putting out propaganda with Christian messaging. The whole concept of manifest destiny was Christian propaganda saying that this land was promised to us and these wicked savages all need to die to get out of the way for this new Christian nation. There are plenty of examples of America being outwardly Christian while doing heinous, evil, awful, atrocious things, and they're not the only example of that, and they're not the only religion that does that thing. And you said everyone's going to lose their mind if they're atheists. No, they're fucking not, dude. Because what you're giving me here is not morality. You're giving me a leash. You're giving me a collar to say if we just convince everybody that this fucking monster in the sky is going to punish them if they do bad things, then that will scare them into not doing bad things. And what I'm trying to tell you is people are generally good. And if you educate them and give them good opportunities and make sure they're not in poverty, they're going to do good things, and they're not going to hurt each other. We see that again and again all over the world. We don't need Christianity to put a collar on humanity and domesticate them into being good people. We just need to let people be people and let them be free. And then we won't have these issues.
Okay, so you mentioned North Korea, and yes, they are primarily, atheists, but they also have a lot of conservative values.
When has conservative values been a driving force for positive change, let's just say in this country? Was it conservative values or people fighting against conservatives that gave women the right to vote?
It would have been conservative.
You think the conservatives are the ones that let women vote in this country?
Those conservative suffragettes.
We were the ones that were running the country at that time.
Which means you were the ones keeping them from voting, and you finally had to relent and change because non-conservatives pushed you in the right direction. What about gay marriage? When same-sex marriage was legalized, was that a conservative initiative or not?
Well, Chris, are you okay with same-sex marriage being legalized?
It doesn't. Here's the thing: is like same-sex marriage doesn't bother me. Like trans doesn't bother me. But the one thing that does bother me is the fact that I have to worry about it being pushed on my kids. I have the right.
It's not being pushed on your. It's not being pushed on your kids, but that's also not what I asked you.
You're right. In kindergarten, they're like, all you kids need to get gay married tomorrow.
Yeah. It's very obviously not being pushed on anyone's children. But the question I asked you is, when same-sex marriage was legalized, was that a conservative thing or not?
What state are you guys in?
Because state of depression.
I had to move to Kansas 6 years ago because this is what was happening in my home state, which was Washington State.
There's no way.
Right. I live in Oklahoma. And yes, I would love, Chris, I would love to talk to you about why this is not the oppression you're pretending it is. But the question that I asked you is gay marriage being legalized a conservative idea or not?
I would say it's a not.
Right. And what about ending segregation? Was it the conservatives that ended segregation? Or was it non-conservatives ending segregation?
It was the non-conservatives, but you got to realize there's still a lot of Christians that were voting for the same thing.
Do you think, and right now, is it the conservatives or non-conservatives who are trying to get rid of Confederate statues and teach that the Civil War was against bad people and try to get away from the Daughters of Confederacy teaching about the War of Northern Aggression as opposed to the Civil War? Is that the conservatives who are trying to get rid of the Confederacy or the non-conservatives?
we don't need to get rid of it. It's the non-conservatives trying to get rid of it.
Right. And was it the conservatives or the non-conservatives?
Because we need to
was it the
understand
conservatives? Yeah, and that's why there's statues of Hitler all over Germany, right? Was it the conservatives or the non-conservatives, Chris, that gave us the 40-hour work week and federal minimum wage? Was that a conservative thing or a non-conservative thing?
It gave us the what?
The federal minimum wage and the 40-hour work week and mandatory breaks and mandatory vacations and all these things. Was that a conservative progress or was that non-conservative progress?
That's going to be a conservative, but I mean, why would it, I mean, they're just
none of that was conservatives. So here's
Chris,
the thing.
What good thing have conservatives given us?
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Like, what can you name us something that benefits the majority of Americans that was given to us by a predominantly conservative leadership?
So conservatives, they do want lower taxes. So that's not a positive thing.
But
they haven't given
only
us
for
lower
billionaires,
taxes,
though.
That's not a positive thing.
They've given us lower taxes for billionaires.
We're a capitalist country. That's because we're also a capitalist country. That doesn't mean that it's got to have an impact on conservatives. Do you think conservatives are the majority of the conservatives don't like capitalists?
Chris, are you a billionaire?
No, I'm not a billionaire.
So then conservatives raised your taxes. They lowered Elon Musk's taxes.
You have to act your wage, Chris. We should all act our wage, not the wage we want to be.
No, I agree with that. Okay. Because the taxes that I spend is ridiculous.
Right, and that's conservatives that gave you that tax rate. Not non-conservative. I'm not trying to use
conservatives. I mean, because
conservatives.
Because the non-conservatives are the ones that want to take care of people that choose to not want to work.
Chris,
we want to take care of everybody. Just to be clear, I'm a socialist. I do want to take care of everybody. But guess where that money comes from? It comes from the billionaires. Because if I were to tax Elon Musk at the same rate that I tax you, or that if I was to tax Elon Musk at the same rate that you are taxed, Chris, we would have enough money to pave all the roads in this country, fund all the schools in this country, give everybody health care, give everybody food if they need food stamps, take care of everything. Okay, and he would still be the richest man in the world.
Just so you two are aware, we're going into a whole area where I am 100% on your side. Okay?
You're a socialist?
100% on your side. Like I could say I'm very minor on some of the liberal values, but on a lot of them, I'm not. I do have conservative, and then I do have some minor liberal.
But Chris, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a clarification here, Chris?
Yes, I agree.
Chris, clarification here. Yeah. Who did you vote for in the last election?
I only voted for the only best option.
Which was?
For Trump.
So, Chris, you actively voted against.
Do you honestly think
Chris, hold on. Stop. You actively voted.
Talk about a policy.
Chris, Kamala talked about multiple policies. You talked.
No, she did not.
You voted. Yes, she did. You voted completely against your religion. You recognize this. You did a vote against what Jesus specifically tells you to do. You did that.
Okay, just so we're clear, I'm not religious. I just want to understand why we're talking about why the Bible is evil.
You called in as a theist. You said you believe in God.
Shocking.
So are you telling me we've been talking? This has been a lie this whole time?
I grew up as a kid with religion.
Is that what I'm hearing? You lied to us?
I'm not an atheist. I mean, I believe in there's a higher power out there. Now, which one is the right one? I don't know.
There's no way we're here.
No, this is so fucking stupid. Like, yeah, Chris, you are actively voting against everything that like would actually make your life better because you didn't listen to anything that Kamala Harris actually said, and you're upset about trans people because you think people are pushing it onto your kids.
She was the vice president. Why didn't they do it the first 4 years then?
What are you talking? No, tell me, Chris, what powers does the vice president have to affect major sweeping change in this country?
A lot when she's put in charge of certain things.
Like what?
Such as?
The borders are.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut in because clearly you don't know what you're talking about, Chris. Kamala Harris was not the border czar. She was put in charge of 3 specific countries when it comes to the border. Joe Biden said, "Hey Kamala, can you go down to the border and can we find out why people are coming in from these specific countries?" Do you know what those countries were?
What countries?
You don't know. I figured it was the Northern Triangle countries. It was Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. It was, "Hey, Kamala Harris, it's your job to figure out why people are coming over from that country so much." And she went down there and said, "Oh, wow, it looks like they're coming over here for economic opportunities." So she, working with those 3 countries, installed programs and got immigration from those 3 countries down 250,000. Not by booting anybody out, not by deportation, but by doing programs to help those countries economically. So when you sit here and go, Kamala Harris doesn't do policy, and you stop.
No, I've got an answer to that too.
You didn't listen to what I just said, Chris.
I've got an answer to what you just said.
Quite literally didn't listen to what I just said. You clearly didn't. She was put in charge of 3 countries. 3. And of those 3 countries, she lowered immigration by 250,000. For the 3 countries she was put in charge of. Not by deporting people, not by throwing people into cages, not by weaponizing ICE, but through policy measures and legislation. But you're going to tell me Trump is better on policy. Interesting.
I'm curious to know, would you support a candidate, for example, Chris, just hypothetically, a candidate who vocally states that they support comprehensive immigration reform to improve the immigration system and also supports a bipartisan measure that both Democrats and Republicans support to address the border security? If this person were to be able to get a bill in the Senate that was bipartisan backed border security that everyone was working on, and they want comprehensive immigration reform, would you support that candidate?
I'm okay with people coming across the border if they do it legally.
Not what I asked you.
They do it legally.
Not what I asked you. I asked you, would you support a candidate who supports comprehensive immigration reform to make sure that immigrants can come here legally and has a border security bill that is backed by both major political parties to help secure the border and stop undocumented immigration? Are you in support of that candidate?
Yeah. I would support that.
Congratulations. That was Kamala Harris. She had that. She said that out loud. There was a bipartisan bill in the Senate. Trump shot it down when he got into office. Kamala Harris supported it and supported comprehensive immigration reform.
Here's the thing is, I watched them say they're going to do something 100 times, and that's the one thing that I didn't know about Trump, is everything he said he was going to do, I knew he was going to do it. Some of the shit I know.
Really?
Hey, where's
some of the shit I'm okay with.
Where's the wall, Chris? Where's the wall Mexico paid for?
But at least I know what he's going to do. I would at least
Chris, where's the wall Mexico paid for?
Mexico's gonna like Forrest said, Mexico's gonna pay for the wall. Didn't happen. He's gonna build the wall. Didn't get finished. He's gonna introduce healthcare within the first month. Didn't happen. He's gonna end the war in Ukraine in the first day. Didn't happen. He's going to make everything affordable in the first day. Didn't happen. He's not gonna go to war with any other countries. Didn't happen. He's gonna release the Epstein files. Didn't fucking happen. Everything he said he was going, the only thing he did that he said he was going to do was pass tax legislation. And even then, that tax legislation increases our deficit because it severely lowers our revenue while increasing our spending. Everything he said he was going to do, he did not do.
I guess the one other promise that he did keep is he does have ice fascists marching through the streets, zip tying children, throwing people into cages based on their skin color. So he did the racist Nazi stuff he said he was going to do. Because if you remember, he said on stage that immigrants are animals that are poisoning the blood of our country, that there's something genetically wrong with them that causes them to commit more crimes, and that America needs to fight against this incoming tide of dirty blood immigrants. That's Nazi shit, Chris, and that's what you voted for. Anyway, it's been 52 fucking minutes, so we're going to move on to our next call, but Chris, I hope this helps you understand what we said at the beginning, why the Bible is so dangerous and why we don't believe in it, because Christian nationalism is what got Trump elected. Christian nationalism, and I guess people like you who just don't listen to what people say on the campaign trail, but like largely Christian nationalism is what got him elected, and that put our country in danger.
Okay, thanks, guys.
What a call. Oh. We've got 4 calls left on the line right now. Lines are closed. We talked to Chris longer than we normally would talk to somebody, but it was interesting.
You start the next one. I'm going to go Tinkle, and then I will return.
All right. Name it after me. Let's, in the meantime, talk to... I want to talk to Jeremy. Jeremy, who disagrees that the Bible is awful and wants to explain why. Jeremy, you're on the line with Forrest and only Forrest. How are you doing today?
Hey, Forrest, how's it going? First, I would just like to quickly say, while our other friend takes a tinkle, that I am not a Christian nationalist, nor am I a supporter of Trump, nor could you even consider me a conservative.
That's phenomenal news. We're already off to a great start.
Yes, I would love for this to be a mutual respected conversation.
Sure.
But as far as the statement that I saw that got me to call in, the Bible is awful. Just end quote. Full stop. I would like to ask this: when you pick up your local newspaper at a store, do you instantly look at it and say this is awful?
I mean, I guess in the spirit that I think you're asking the question, like, no, I wouldn't judge the newspaper as a harmful document just for existing. No. Is that what you're asking me?
Right. And no, and I'm not saying that they're of equal importance or influence, of course. But what I'm saying is that there are what anybody honest with themselves could call bad parts of the Bible. And there are parts of the Bible, like that are bad parts that could be, maybe misinterpreted over the thousands of years since it was written. Like the old game of telephone goes. But, just because there are bad parts of that book and bad parts that certain, megalomaniacal leaders took and, used to kill thousands with, I still personally believe that there are some beautiful parts of it that if I myself just want to take and use in my own life, I feel like I should not be hated for that. If all people should be free to believe what they want to believe, correct? I heard somebody mention that earlier. I guess I'm just wondering, why do people hate me or certain people, and not you? I'm not saying that about y'all at all. But why should I be hated if I believe parts of the Bible and I try to use them in my daily life?
So I certainly don't think anyone should hate you for caring about some parts of the Bible. As I said several times in the last call, there are plenty of parts of the Bible that I think are good, but they're buried in so much shit that the Bible itself as a whole is a problem. I can point to just about any religion and find some very pretty things and some very meaningful things. And when I was a kid, I was raised with a lot of different religions and mythologies and whatnot taught to me, mainly as a literary exercise and to teach me about like world beliefs and stuff and cultures. There's lots of things. I draw a tremendous amount of meaning from Greek mythology and from Egyptian mythology and from Norse mythology. I draw meaning for those things even at this moment in my life. I love Native American cultures and all these things. Those are all great.
Yes.
But actually believing in a God is harmful, and especially the God of the Bible is harmful. So I don't think anybody should hate you for believing in this. I think Christians are awesome. I think Christianity is dangerous and destructive and needs to be challenged. And if somebody can find a way to believe in Jesus or like certain parts of the Bible and still be a good, productive member of society, fine. Let them do whatever they want to do in their own home. I'm going to challenge their beliefs, and I hope that they're amicable to it. But nobody should hate you for that. Just, I want to make it a point to get on the internet and let people know this Bible isn't good.
You are absolutely welcome to challenge those beliefs, and those would be my beliefs. You are welcome to do that. You're not going to get a big fight and a punch in the face from me over that, proverbially, nor physically. I've noticed from the time I was a child, just believing in God and believing in Jesus down here in South Mississippi where I live was, the thing to do. That was just, how I was raised. And then you talked about how you were raised. And I take a lot of, I find a lot of peace and awesome stuff when it comes to Native American culture as well. But when it comes to like the Bible, as we said, just back to that original statement, one thought I had while listening to Chris hang himself slowly. You guys are wrong for letting him hang himself that long too. You know that. Giving him enough rope to hang himself. But anyway,
yep.
One thought I had was life. There are some fucked up things in life. Pardon my French. Can we cuss?
We can. We encourage it.
There are some fucked up fucking things in life. Okay. But unlike a true, good friend of mine who decided to leave life early and check out, shall we say, because of the fucked up things in life, I refuse to do that. Even though there are so many fucked up things in life, there are also such beautiful things. And I believe the same goes for the Bible itself. Now, the Bible unquestionably has been used to kill and murder hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people over the years. There is an awesome song called In the Name of God by a band called Dream Theater that I think you two would absolutely love. And it talks about just that. And so in the name of God, so many have been killed, and it has been used. But I would just like to say that not every Christian or not every person that believes in God is is standing up for those evil sons of bitches, or claims to support those.
I agree with you, and I would have a serious issue. There are plenty of examples of internet atheists out there that are just looking to be as antagonistic as possible for clickbait, and they'll say things about how religion is a mental illness and every single religious person is insane and deluded and blah blah blah. I think that sucks. And like I have plenty of friends who are Christians. I have plenty of friends who are Muslims. I have a couple of friends who are Hindus. Like, I have no problem with individual religious people. I have problems with their religious beliefs. And I think that good people who are religious, they are usually religious in spite of their religion as opposed to because of it. So yes, the Bible is a book that has been... the Bible is a book that is full of awful, evil things. It has been used for awful, evil purposes. And yes, I agree with you. There are some parts of it that are nice. The point that we've been making this whole show is just that there's no good thing in the Bible that you can't figure out for yourself or get somewhere else without the Bible. The Bible itself is no more valuable than any other storybook out there and is actually pretty harmful because I don't think there's any such thing as a harmless faith. And so what you have is this religion that is just providing nothing but chains and nothing but pain and nothing but problems. And the few little good things that come out of it simply aren't worth the price. We can get those good things anywhere else. That's all we're talking about here.
Well, I guess me and you would just disagree when it comes to the proportions of the bad versus good that comes from the Bible, because I hear you use the term nothing but, bad and horrible and chains, come from it. But then I hear you say, but the few little things. And I would definitely say that I disagree with you as far as the proportions. I really think it's about what you do with it. You know, I shouldn't, you know, I think we're kind of inherently born with, or either not long after being born, we learn, like, well, killing someone is wrong. Lying to someone is wrong. Stealing from someone is wrong. Right? You know,
Right.
Would you and your friends say that those are things that you don't have to have the Bible to learn or know?
Very obviously, yes, absolutely.
Right. Okay. Well, what's wrong if someone has the Bible and learns that from the Bible?
Because the danger then is you open the Bible and you turn to Exodus and you get the 10 Commandments and it says don't lie and don't steal and all these things. What you are now taught from this story is that, number one, you're only believing these things not because they are wrong because they cause harm to other people, but they're wrong because God says they're wrong. The person in authority says they're wrong, therefore they're wrong. That is a very low level of moral development. Higher level moral development that actually is useful is understanding and developing your own moral ethical principles that you can universally apply. The second thing that it teaches you is that humans were wandering around, you know, for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, doing all these evil things until they got this message. So you are not an inherently good person.
Yeah.
In fact, the Bible teaches you the opposite. The Bible teaches you that you are inherently wicked, evil, sinful, broken, terrible, diseased. The best thing that could possibly happen, the most moral thing in the universe, is that you get tortured for all eternity because you're just so evil. And only by this grace do you deserve to be treated like a human being. And there you need this commandment that came out of this fucking mountain. And then the third thing that it teaches you is this sick mockery of love. That you're not doing these things because they're good. You're doing these things because you're being told by authority to do it. And if you don't follow it, you're going to be tortured for all eternity by the person who loves you and will only forgive you if you grovel enough. It's just gross. So, like, it's the same thing as if I were to teach people, like, if I took the Lord of the Rings and gave somebody the character of Sauron and said, hey, Sauron says don't lie. Where you get the message matters, man. And so, yeah, don't lie and don't steal and don't kill. Those are great lessons that anybody can learn any way you like. You can learn them from all cultural traditions. You can learn them without religion. You can figure them out for yourself, as you said. When you put it in the Bible, you're now adding all this extra baggage, and you have somebody who genuinely thinks that they could not be a good person on their own. It is only because they have the carrot and the stick dangled in front of them that they're able to force themselves to do these things. And at the end of the day, it destroys their image, both of themselves and other people and society as a whole.
Okay, well, I would like to say, first of all, just thank you for letting me speak. And it feels really cool to be able to have a mutual, I don't even want to call this a debate, a conversation.
Thank you for speaking. It's been a really good call so far.
Yes. At the end of the day, you and anyone else in America and on Earth are completely entitled to believe what they want to believe. But I guess it's what you do with what you believe that makes it a problem or not, and if it hurts someone else, right? Whether that's atheism and using that belief to or lack of belief, however you want to view it, to hurt someone, or if it's Christianity and using that belief to hurt someone or to help someone. You know, it's what you do with it. You know, and real quick, and honestly, I'm going to give time to some other callers to be able to call, you know, and speak. I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time. I'm not here to really debate you, but I would like to say, I heard you mention the vice president and how much power a vice president has earlier with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a thought. I got to say this. It depends on which vice president we're talking about, you know, because you look at someone like Kamala Harris and the limited power she was given, I would say. Then you look at someone like or Joe Biden with Obama, but then you got somebody like Dick Cheney. It depends on which vice president. Now, I know that's random and that has nothing to do really with what our conversation has become.
No, but you're right, though. It really does. It's just that I hate that it's when you're right, but when people like that guy call in this just as lazy, well, she could have done things. Okay, she did the things you want, and now you voted for a guy who does the things you don't want. It sucks so bad.
Yeah, and we're talking about someone who takes the words from Donald Trump seriously. A literal pedophile. A literal lifelong fucking pedophile, evil son of a bitch. So yeah, I'm surprised you kept him on that long. But look, all the love in the world to you guys. Remember, I truly believe it's not what it is, it's what you do with it. You know, much love to you guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Chris. Goodbye. Hey, Chris, this has been a genuinely good call. I largely agree with you. I think that the belief matters as well. And if that's where we disagree, that's totally fine. But genuinely, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. Call us back sometime if you want to have like an angry screaming match or something. Take care, dude. Super nice guy. Super nice guy.
I was listening. I wasn't here, but I was listening.
We agree on that, you know, there's lots of things in the Bible that are bad. And we agree that Trump's a pedophile, and it's like, fuck, man, doesn't get much better than that as far as people go. If that's what we disagree on, if our disagreement is, yeah, but I kind of just I like the Bible and it makes me feel comfortable and I want to use these things. Okay, fuck it, do what you want to do. That's great. I love that, and I feel bad that Chris thought that. I understand why he thought this. I feel bad that he was worried that there were people out there that would hate him just for liking some parts of the Bible. I don't think anybody should feel that way. So, good dude, Chris. Jeremy. Sorry, not Chris. Fuck me. Jeremy. I was talking to Chris for so goddamn long. His name's stuck in my mouth. But Jeremy was awesome, man. Very, very cool guy. Anyway, with that, I'm going to let you pick the next call because I picked that one. And then I am also going to go bust a Waz while you take this one.
Heard. All right, let's bring up Cameron from California, who is a theist who disagrees with us that the Bible is awful. Cameron, how old are you here, bud?
Hey, how's it going? I'm 26.
All right, great. Now, Cameron, it appears that you disagree with us on the Bible being awful. Is that true?
Yes, I think it's extremely important for our culture. It has been for a while.
What are you basing that on?
I guess it's the belief that I have that every culture is based off some kind of myth or religious beginning. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any culture that sprouted into existence, or I should say any group of humans that sprouted into existence fully atheistic and enlightened in some sense that they can practice rational, scientific, empirical thinking. So I think every culture starts with some kind of myth.
Well, you're making a lot of presuppositions here. Just because a culture is based on religious myth, does that mean it should?
So I can, okay.
Well, no, because you're saying a lot of stuff. Just because a country is based on mythos, does that mean that they should stay with that mythos forever?
No. But why I think it's important is the first question. So why I think it's important is because it's our Judeo-Christian culture. And I've been listening to the live stream for a while now, and there's this point saying where, like, what's the point of even having the Bible? It's just, we should just get rid of it. It's not even important historically. So I guess my first point is it's important to look at because it's the roots from which we have grown, if anything, right?
Wait, but that's okay. None of that is answering the question, though. Why would it still be important to follow?
What's the question?
Why is it still important? Why is it still important as a tool if we have the things the tool does outside of the tool?
We have these things the tool does outside of the tool. I don't think it's useful as a tool. The metaphor I would use rather than anything like a tool is an organic metaphor. So if we're a leaf that has grown from this root, to hack it off is going to be detrimental. Whereas if anything,
well, I would disagree that we were a leaf grown from the root.
What I'm doing right now, but I'm at least saying it's worth warranting looking at.
I would disagree, Cameron. But I'll let you go ahead first.
I was going to say, so would it be fair then to say that the Bible, if I agree with you, which I don't, but let's just agree that the Bible is the beginning of our culture as Americans and it's foundational to the beginning of America and all these things. Way
before America. Let's say like the beginning of the West or something, because America doesn't give a very good frame.
Whatever the West means, sure. So then, like, we'll say it's the beginning of all that culture. So now we've grown past it, and we have it to say this is a cautionary tale to say we don't ever want to believe shit like this anymore. And so for the same reason that we teach about, the history of the Confederacy and whatnot in schools and the history of monarchy in schools, we should also teach people used to believe in the fucking Bible too. And thank goodness we're past that. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. See, well, this is where I think we disagree. I'm assuming that's what you think is okay. We can look at this as a historical artifact, but it's batshit crazy. We don't need to believe it anymore. Whereas I'd say I think it takes some humility and an approach of looking at it that is akin to, like, I think even going past the Bible, like the way I would look at Mesopotamian mythology, starting there and seeing how that grew into the Bible and how that grew into the Old Testament and how that gets fulfilled into the New Testament, and that there's like a story playing out, like some kind of cosmic story. And you can do it in the East too, and you can see universal symbolism playing out, and there's like kind of a beauty in that. I mean, I'm sure you've looked into that if you've been into this argument long enough.
Wait, but again, all this is saying, Cameron, all this is saying is that we recognize how this has shaped human history, which we do.
Right. You can do comparative religions. You can study religion, and you can study mythology, and you can study a history of folklore and all these things. I think that's great. Everybody should study a little bit of cultural anthropology and learn about different mythologies and different religious beliefs and all those things. I think that's awesome. None of that means that this is a necessary thing in our lives today. None of that means that the Bible isn't awful. The Bible is a terrible book. It teaches terrible things. And just because people used to believe it, and just because those important people used to believe it, doesn't mean that it isn't a terrible book. It teaches terrible things.
I guess that's the point where I disagree. Is I don't think in the Eurocentric view of like this Western scientific, like let's study it as if we're somehow outside of it. I'm living in that myth. All the suffering, all the brutality, everything that the Bible was and is carried through today, I live in that. And to pretend I live separate from it or somehow above it,
what do you mean? Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean?
It means, again, like, so it would mean that's the history, the Judeo-Christian story.
No. Be specific. Be specific about the suffering that you're living through. Be specific.
That is directly part of the Bible at this moment.
I'm speaking a little poetically. I'm talking about the suffering that was mentioned in the Old Testament, things that were done brutally. That's a part of our lineage, the same way as like racism in America is part of our lineage.
So then you could say the same.
Go ahead, Forrest.
I was going to say, you can say the same thing about any religious tradition that talks about the history of humanity and how there was some turbulence and turmoil and blah, 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 tribulation. And so now we should all be...
the same way I do to Christianity.
You feel tied to it because you grew up in a country... Right, because of where you grew up. Because it's a part of your cultural background. Right, and what we're trying to get across to you is none of that changes the fact that it's a fucking awful book that teaches awful things. So Christians
I'm not looking at it as just the book. I think the book... Sorry, I cut you off.
It is a non-historical book. It is a non-scientific book. It is a book full of inaccuracies and full of terrible, terrible teachings that was heavily influential in the history of our country, but so are a lot of other things. And yes, unfortunately still is, which is why we're here arguing about it and trying to help people free themselves from it. But at the end of the day, none of that changes the prompt that you called in about. You said you disagree that the Bible is awful. The Bible is fucking awful. It teaches awful things. It has been used for awful things, and it has an awful stain on the history of this country. There is no good that has ever come out of this country that you could not have gotten without the Bible. And there's plenty of evil that we got in this country that we almost certainly wouldn't have had without the Bible. So it's just a fucking stain on our country and on our history. It is something that influences our lives today, and we want to be rid of it. It's awful. That's the prompt.
Yeah, okay. I guess then where we disagree is that I think it's impossible to parse apart actions that have come out of like the Judeo-Christian culture as a whole and try to separate out and go, this could have happened without it. Like morality, the morality we follow today,
It doesn't
is
matter.
tightly tied
Wait,
to
that
the
doesn't
Bible.
I also said probably. I
doesn't...
didn't make any definitive claims because I'm not trying to make a hypothetical here. I said probably. Like we talked about slavery for a long time.
I thought you said
probably
definitively nothing good has ever come out of the Bible.
No, I said definitively there is nothing good that we could not have done without the Bible. And there probably
so you're making a definitive statement. That's my worry.
Yes.
I don't know how you could ever definitively say that.
Can you give me one single thing, one good thing America has done that it would have been impossible to accomplish without the Bible?
I don't think that way. I don't think in terms of things. I think in terms of morality as a whole and the motivations and values that have driven the West as a whole. And I think most of those, if not all of them,
the motivations and values
from the Christian story.
Right. The motivations and values that were derived from the Christian story and then drove the West were the cause of the genocide against the Native Americans and the enslavements of Africans. So that's why I was saying it's not impossible.
Those atrocities,
It's not impossible that those things would have happened without the Bible. Like that, they could have happened without the Bible. But I'm saying it probably wouldn't have been the same thing, or at least as bad, if at all, if the Bible didn't have the influence that it had. Meanwhile, all the good things this country has done has been fighting against the Christian conservative majority. There's nothing good that this country has done that we could not have done without the Bible. And there are plenty of bad things this country has done that we probably wouldn't have done without the Bible. That's it. Yes, it is part of our history. Yes, it has an influence on our lives today. It's a problem.
But did it have an influence on our morality?
Yes,
where
in
do
a
you think
bad
our morality derives from?
It is a thing that is, for lack of a better word, intelligently designed. We as a culture come together and work on our morality and agree on new things. We find new rights to champion. We find new worlds to conquer. We do new things through discussion, through participation, through society working as a whole, with all of us coming together and talking, not from the Bible. If we were following the morality of the Bible, we would still have slaves.
Not that process. And do you think the story?
No, the story of Moses in the Old Testament tells you that. The story of Moses in the Old Testament tells us that if God gets mad at people, then you should go and genocide them. That's what the story of Moses in the Old Testament teaches us. The story of Moses in the Old Testament teaches us that the story of Moses in the Old Testament teaches us that hey, God is going to make sure that He gets to kill kids before He lets your people go. He'll let them go.
Okay, I think
but He's going to kill kids first.
I know.
The story of Moses in the Old Testament. The story of Moses in the Old Testament is what I was talking about.
The larger narrative at play in the Bible, especially the Old Testament, is of a vengeful, vindictive God who is vain and wants to be worshipped, while at the same time punishing anyone that doesn't do exactly what He says. America loved being founded off of that. Because
I brought up
they do the same thing.
No, you're right. And I brought up the genocide of the Native Americans. The story of Moses and shit was a part of that. The idea of going out and slaughtering the savages that don't believe in God, the idea of getting the promised land that God had prepared for us, that's all what Manifest Destiny is all about. So, that was influential in a bad way.
As a Christian, I completely disagree with that doctrine. And there's doctrines inside Christianity that full-heartedly disagree with that, and not some niche doctrine, but like entire branches. I'm an Orthodox Christian, and it's in Orthodox Christianity, the Old Testament way of going into and trying to bring about a promised land through holy war is completely and utterly denied as any kind of valid method. It's looked at as horrible. The New Testament sought to come in and fulfill that promise. Right, and bring about a new morality. So if you can see the morality at play throughout the Bible, right?
You should let our founding fathers know, but that's not what we're arguing.
Of Moses and Exodus, and out of that coming eventually Christ, you see a playing out of a morality. Yes, go ahead.
Cameron, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not here to listen to you preach, dude. We're not talking about which interpretation of the Bible is the better one. We're talking about whether or not the Bible has an undue and negative influence on American history and culture. So I'm happy to hear that you don't like genocide.
That was what I wanted to.
That's what you just said. That's the prompt you called in about and what you have been arguing this whole time. That's not my prompt. That's yours. You have been saying that the Bible is necessarily part of your tradition.
I explicitly corrected you when you said America. I said I think we should look at the West larger, right?
That doesn't change anything. That doesn't change
now
anything.
You're trying to trap me into specific episodes and events in American history and trying to make me defend
the larger
genocide.
West.
Whereas I'm
Cameron, the larger West isn't better. The Crusades weren't a good thing, and it was Christians who did them based on the Bible. So you today, in the year of our dark Lord 2026, have a very modern and personalized view of the Bible and what it means, all these things. That's charming. But what you said is that the Bible isn't bad. The Bible isn't bad because it is necessarily linked to our history. And I'm just saying it's not a good thing. It's a bad part of our history. This is an example of why.
Human nature is brutal, and you're going to look at any civilization and see terrible happenings, and the justification for it will be founded in something. And in the West, it will be founded in my view, a misinterpretation of, that's not even the right way to put it. It's not following Christ. Crusades were not following Christ. A great example of this, if you read the Brothers Karamazov, there's a great chapter in there where it talks about the Christ coming back during the Inquisition.
I know
and
the
guess
story.
what they did? Guess what the Crusaders did to Christ? Right, in that
they
story.
Crucified him again.
They killed him.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I get it. I've been there. I've read the story. The question is...
That's the Pharisaic story that you see play out. Of course, you see this. But to be a Christian, and I know many myself... All right, go ahead.
No, what's happening? What's happening right now, Cameron? Sorry to interrupt you, Forrest. What's happening right now is you're going, well, I use Christianity good, so therefore it's always good, and we should use it. When, like, I'm sorry, that's not how this works.
That's not my argument. That's not.
No, I'm saying no. Wait, I know that's not what you're claiming, but that's what your argument leads to. It's a poor argument.
It doesn't lead to just a
yes,
full
it does.
stop. I'm arguing that there is that we're going to need religion regardless going forward, which would be a separate argument. But then the one we're growing out of
you can't ground that in anything, Cameron. Cameron, you can't ground that we are going to always need religion in anything.
I can't ground it. We could argue that, but it would be a separate argument. But we could go there. Yes, I think you can.
Well, if that's your whole point, I don't know why you haven't been arguing that to begin with.
Well, it's because this is a complex issue. We can't just start it in one place.
It's really not.
Another piece of it.
Why do you believe humans will always need religion?
What?
Why do you believe humans will always need religion?
I don't think we can derive value from fact. And I think we're going to need something to worship.
What does that mean?
Something to value. And I think that, to me, that is, or not even, I'm not going to say to me, I think that is a understanding just circular. Of what religion is.
That's just, you just gave me a circular answer. You said, the question is, why will humans always need religion? You said, because humans will always need to have, something of religious power that they value. I know, that's the question, is why they will.
Sorry. Okay, I don't think through a scientific process you can derive value. You're going to need something that is akin to, like, I think it was
true. We do it through
Forrest
philosophy. We don't do it through science. We do it through philosophy.
Yes, exactly. So a philosophic endeavor is going to end in needing some kind of first principles to base your value off of. And I think ultimately that's going to be something like a religious process. It's going to be a binding together of people that are worshiping something.
Why?
Because I define religion, and I think this is a valid definition, not just something I thought up, right? Would be people coming together in a group, binding together, and worshiping something. And by worship, I mean attending to it in a collective manner. And that attention to a certain value.
Yes, if we just change the definition of religion, then I guess your argument works. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, what's your definition of religion then?
There is none.
It would be,
Just so you know, religion is one of those things. It's funny how this works. There isn't a clear-cut definition of religion.
Okay, then can you please not accuse me of just making up a random definition?
No, what I'm saying is
a clear one.
We can come to a common understanding of what we're talking about when we're talking about religion, but there is no one hard set thing that is religion. When I criticize religion on these shows,
my definition is fair, or no? Would you have a problem with
no,
my
I would
definition?
not. Yes, I do.
Okay, then what? Okay, then please tell me the problem with it.
You're talking about people coming together and worshiping a thing. I don't think that's necessary for religion.
You don't think it's necessary? You can find a religion where people don't do that.
Sure.
Okay, which one?
For example, a lot of animistic religions don't really have a worship aspect like that. They just accept that the whole world is alive in some sort of different way.
And that the entire idea of animism is putting value inside objects. So
that's not actually that's not a fair description of animism. And also, it's not putting value in something and thinking, putting value in something and thinking that things have individual spirits or that the whole of nature is alive in different ways or whatever different part of this you're talking about aren't necessarily synonymous with worship. And it's also important to point out that the term worship is another fuzzy word that's kind of difficult to pin down. So it really depends on what you mean by that. I don't know what value it is to get into this too much. The point is that you're going to have to back up this claim that this is like a necessary thing for humans.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a complex thing to come up with these kind of definitions, but I'm just trying to come up with a working definition of religion we can both agree on to move forward with the debate of why religion would be necessary to society. And I guess a simpler way to do this would be, let's look at any kind of culture that's ever began without a religion. And I'd want to hear from you guys, is it some kind of idea that culture has to inevitably start with religion and then it can move out of that phase and move into atheism? And that's better?
I don't have any examples. I think there are cultures that are totally atheistic. I don't remember off the top of my head. But at the end of the day, I don't think religion is necessary for culture. I think that the fact that the vast preponderance of cultures have some sort of religious belief does not necessitate that culture is inherently necessarily tied to religion. I think that is just correlation, not causation.
I think the more ignorant a culture is, the more likely that culture is to engage in religious beliefs. Religious beliefs started as a way for people to understand the world because they didn't have an understanding of the science behind what actually happens. So like religions that... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, people are also pointing out in the chat, a lot of people are pointing out Buddhism is a religion that is largely non-theistic as well.
Mm.
I mean,
but like originally people worshiped the sun as a god because they didn't know what it was. So we create religion as a way to explain the unexplainable. This doesn't like mean anything.
Yes, and now we use science to do that. And I you guys would argue science is a better way to do this, and I'd argue that has been
science doesn't make any moral positions. Science is just our way to observe the world around us and explain why certain things in the world happens.
Right. So if you're saying religion is just about a way to understand the world, science cannot help us understand it. But I'd say religion isn't that. Religion actually helps us participate in the world and find relationship to the things around us, rather than just
poorly
explaining, say it's.
I mean, it helped us. It helped us participate in the world poorly.
I also want to point out, like, the whole thing that Jovan is talking about here is that back in the day, like naturalism, science, religion, all these things, these were all roped up under the same thing, which was all philosophy. Philosophy was spirituality and science and religion and all the shit all together at once. Now it serves a different purpose.
Yes.
But that's fine. Science is the best tool that we have to understand what's going on around us and to learn about the universe. I personally think that you can derive a lot of ought from is when it comes to scientific thinking. You can derive moral understanding and you can derive ethical life lessons from that, but that's just my philosophical way of looking at it. if you want to argue about where people get morals from and but makes people build meaning all these things, these are philosophical questions, not religious questions. You don't need religion for any of this.
Well, you're trying to understand religion using philosophy.
No, I'm trying to dismiss religion as something harmful and unnecessary.
Using philosophy, right?
Nope. Just by applying the same laws of morality and logic that I do to literally anything else to religious beliefs.
Yes, you're using logical philosophy, is what that would be
if
called.
You want to pin that down,
like necessary and sufficient. So, I mean, let's admit we're using philosophy.
If you want to say that this is part of my philosophy, sure.
To argue religion. Like, I'm going to end up in a circular hellhole if all I try to do is stay within religion itself to try to argue for religion. So, of course, I'm going to use philosophy and logic and my observation of the world to try to understand the usefulness of religion. Like, I don't.
What is the useful? Just give me, like, let's just cut to the chase here. What is the usefulness of religion that we cannot get without religion? What is the thing that religion does that benefits humanity, and we would be without it if we lost religion and we just everybody was atheist now? We would not be able to accomplish this particular thing. What is that thing?
Proper worship.
Why is worship a good thing? I don't think worship is a good thing.
We would lose the thing that we need for religion without religion. Obviously.
Wait, okay.
Why is worship a good thing?
Okay, so for me, worship, why we need religion, it's helping us attend to our highest value. Not our, in some subjective sense, but as a collective sense, hence why we need religion, something we're aiming at collectively. And a big problem our culture has right now, not in small part because of the religious and secular war that is playing out, is we don't know what we're attending to as a group. We don't know where we're headed.
Are you claiming then, Cameron, that I, as an atheist, am incapable of understanding or am missing out on understanding where I'm headed and what I'm aiming for and what I can't attend to the good things in my life and to big goals or anything like that?
No, I think you definitely can. And I'd say, like, in that sense, everybody has a God, whether they know it or not, because your attention is worshiping something. Like,
okay, so
that's not
worship.
The best way to put it.
So go ahead and clarify, because I was about to ask you to clarify that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to ask you, are you saying that worship is just anything that you pay attention to? But it sounds like you're about to clarify that, so please clarify that, because that sounds really silly.
I think it's how you bind your attention together. It's the value behind your attention, right? And there's nested hierarchies to that, but it's what sits at the top.
Would you say that
you're not saying anything. This is all nonsense.
Would you say, Cameron, that I worship food because I give it a lot of attention in my life? It's a major part of every single day.
If it's at the highest thing in your hierarchy, then yes, but I doubt it is. I bet there's things you care about more than food.
There are many of them. There are many things I care about more than food. So then in this case, the thing that you're claiming I worship is the ideals for which I live and the ideals that I pursue in my life and the reason why I do what I do every day.
And I'm sure you've looked into like this, the Alex O'Connor, Jordan Peterson debate sphere, or something like that, or maybe not. But if you're into the religious questions and the religious argumentation of today, I'd highly suggest looking into it. Just out of like, this is where I think a lot of people are at.
Are they going to be as incoherent as you've been with us, Cameron? Or are they going to be like? Are they going to give us?
If you find this completely incoherent and not at all stimulating, and then yeah.
The reason I'm going to tell you why I don't find this. I'm going to tell you why I don't find this stimulating. Actually, I listen to Alex O'Connor. I find his conversation a bit more stimulating than this. The reason I don't find this stimulating is you consistently.
He's way more articulate than me. I'm not playing. Okay,
it's not about being articulate, Cameron. You are vague. You're being vague on purpose. We'll ask you something, and we'll say, "Well, what does this mean?" You'll, "Well, this sort of means what it means." You won't tell us what it means.
Sorry,
I'm
genuinely not trying to do
the thing you said.
Because I'm genuinely
and it's
trying
just
to
sort
figure
of
this out. So please help me figure out where I'm being vague, and I can try to clarify.
Let me wait real quick. I just want to be so very clear about this. Here's the interpretation that I and probably most of the audience is getting from this. Religion is important, and we need to keep religion and worship because humans need to have something bigger than ourselves to aspire to. And I call bullshit on this.
Value that we're headed towards.
I say baloney. I call baloney on this.
Okay.
We don't need some ideal value that is religious based. My ideal value can be, hey, how can I help the most people as possible? Or how can I, but again, that's not religious based. That's based in pure empathy. My value could be, hey,
it's based in what? I missed it.
That's just based on pure empathy, which is an evolutionary trait that we develop.
An emotion.
Yes.
Utilitarianism is not just based on empathy.
That's not utilitarianism. That's not utilitarianism. That would be emotivism. I thought you listened to Alex O'Connor and Jordan Peterson. It'd be emotivism.
Wait, how to help the most amount of people?
Yeah, but hold on. If we're talking about emotions, that's emotivism. Like if we're talking about the basis of things just being our emotions.
You said your highest ideal is to help the most amount of people.
I said it could be. I said it could be. This is like, you're not listening. I don't know what we're doing.
We also acknowledge the fact that just a minute ago, you were getting all fucking, like, really serious about, like, saying, well, this is philosophy. And now we are literally just acknowledging the fact that all we're talking about is philosophy. And your entire thing is what you're calling worship is just an individual's philosophy and their outlook on life. And that's the values that they hold. And so that's the things that they're going to do. And you're calling that worship and then tying it to religion. Like, can we just acknowledge the fact that's where we're at now?
I think for it to properly be done, it needs to be worship. I think people can do it without it.
But what you are calling worship, Cameron, what you are calling worship is just somebody's philosophical framework and what they care about. I believe it. My philosophy, the philosophical schools that I ground myself in, that I like the most, that I base my worldview around, everything that I not like I try to, just where I find my home at, is cosmic nihilism and ancient stoicism. You put those two together and you get this view that nothing matters at all and your fate is your own and you have to do your best and try to make the world a better place. That's what I do every day. You are now claiming that because of this, that what I am doing philosophically, the way that I think about the world, is a form of worship. That is me worshiping when I go out and donate to a food bank, or I get here on this call-in show to try to help people break free of religion, or I go to school and I learn science and I publish stuff and like that. This is all me worshiping. And no, I don't think any reasonable person who heard the word worship would think that that's what that word means. You are twisting that word to mean philosophical outlook and doing what matters to you. And you're trying to do that just so you can hold on to this word religion when what you mean this entire time is philosophy. And I don't think anybody says we should get rid of philosophy because it's literally just how you think. I think thinking is good. I don't think religion is good.
I know, but I think if you see what people were doing when they were worshiping, it was at least a different way of trying to do the same thing. And right in philosophy,
when I or just about anybody else using the word worship in normal colloquial ways, if anybody, I dare you to go out tomorrow, ask a random person, what does it look like when someone worships something? They're going to talk about groveling. They're going to talk about bowing. They're going to talk about praying. They're going to talk about devoting their life to a thing in a way that is not even close to what you're describing.
In a way that aligns their actions so they can act in accordance to it. It's a way to it's a way to align your behavior to the highest aim. That's like that's what people are doing when they go to church.
When you are talking about worshiping,
I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah.
Cameron, when you talk about aligning yourself to an aim as a form of worship, when you use the word worship, I think it's very reasonable that anybody would assume the thing you're aligning yourself to is a person or a deity or an object, not an ideology, a philosophy, or a way of life. That's not how the word worship is used.
You wouldn't say God has wrapped around it, and I wouldn't use this language, but a form like an ideology, a set of ways to behave. Like
No, because there's over
God's relationship
40,000
to humanity,
denominations.
and the Bible is
No,
giving. Here is how you
because
act. Here is how you attend to the
there's
world.
over
Here is what you do.
and
right?
Cameron,
Like
you
morality.
Cameron demonstrated at the beginning of this call why that doesn't matter. Because you spent the majority of the beginning of this call pointing out how your flavor of Christianity is better than all the other flavors of Christianity that believed all the other things that you don't believe in by reading the same book and worshiping the same God. And again, here I'm using the word worship the way that anybody else would, to mean following a guy. And so you are one of 40,000 denominations of Christianity that is a highly individualized religion, totally based around the no true Scotsman fallacy. And you're using the word worship now to mean any philosophical framework that anybody has ever. And we already have a word for that. It's called philosophy. You're just playing word games to try to justify religion existing in a way that it doesn't need to exist. And this is totally different than the thing you called in from the first place, which is the idea that the Bible is intrinsically linked to your life in the West and therefore meaningful and important. And no, dude, it's not. So you haven't proven anything you've said. You've just played word games now for 32 minutes.
I'm hearing trumpets. Can we wrap this up?
That way. I don't have a whole lot more time. This was kind of fun. It was a little bit of argument.
That's why we do it.
You guys got anything out of it. You probably just think I'm an idiot. But thank you for taking my call.
I don't think you're an idiot. I think you are holding on to an idea that you are very used to holding on to, and it makes you uncomfortable to think about letting go of it. That's why I think you are locked into the heuristics that you were raised with. I don't think you're an idiot. I think you were.
I let go of it for a while, a long time, and it was scary. I don't know what you mean by cosmic nihilism. I don't think I'm familiar. I know what nihilism is, though, and that's kind of what I fell into, right? And I think what a lot of people fall into.
If it's scary to let go of religion, you didn't truly let go of religion. I just want to throw that out there.
That's a good point.
Okay, well, wait. Help me think through that then. Okay. So if I fell into nihilism,
you can call back. We don't need to get it all in one call. We don't need to cover every topic in one call. You can call back.
Yes, we do.
Right,
yes, we do, Arden.
No.
I can leave. Okay. If you guys got more people to get to, I know you've been on for a while. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cameron. Take care.
Arden said, "It's okay. It's all right." But Arden, you recognize what we're about to go into, right?
Yes, and that is exactly why I needed us to move on so we could just rip the Band-Aid off, okay?
I don't want to do it.
It had gone on so long, I stopped hearing worship and started hearing warship.
I think that's just my accent.
Boat with cannons.
I get comments on that a lot. I get the word worship because of how I pronounce it in Oklahoma. And my dad was from Austria, and I still sometimes say onion and oven weird instead of onion and oven. You know what I mean? Because I have that in the back of my mind too. It's just me. You're just making fun of me, and you're so mean.
True.
Should I get a poblano omelet, or should I get a spinach and mushroom omelet? I think poblano probably sounds good. My wife just sent me a fucking DoorDash link to get omelets. I'm looking at this
omelette,
shit right now.
Du fromage.
All right, let's just pull the Band-Aid off.
Fucking
hey, Will from Indiana. Will, welcome to the show, I guess. I don't know. Will, what do you want to talk about, Will?
Well, actually, I'm kind of regretting making the call up this point, but I'm going to go for it anyway and just make a fool out of myself, I suppose.
It could be good. It could be good. I want to hear it be good.
Okay. Before we get into it, I just want to preface when I have no issues with you at all, Will. Okay, I don't know you.
True.
So I just know if somebody hits me with a phrase like Jungian archetypes, I'm like, all right, I'm out. So I want to set some rules here at the start of the conversation, right? One of those rules is I don't like jargon. I think jargon makes conversations incoherent, or they become like the Jordan Peterson school of like, blah, blah, blah. Talk to me and Forrest as if we are 80-year-old grandmas. Okay?
Well,
so anything you're going to explain, explain it like
myself. So that's all I can really be able to muster.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. We get some people who call in and they try to be Jordan Peterson and they just throw a bunch of bullshit at us and it just sucks. And we have to spend 20 minutes arguing about what the hell they mean by what they're saying before we can actually get to what they're actually saying. So as long as we're just speaking commonly, we'll have a good time.
I know the jargon only because I picked it apart deeply by myself, but that's no way to communicate with other people. What I have come to appreciate about science is the way that it studies the nuances of cause and effect. And I don't know of any technologies that are based on spiritual anything. But that goes back to, I was a Christian until I was 35 years old. And it really did hurt me. In a lot of ways, my parents basically gave me CPTSD over Christianity, and that gets back to the part of the emotional thing of who we are, or who I am. Actually, I can't speak for anybody else. Where something comes up and I get this feeling: is there a cause and effect? Well, there might be. But it might be a trauma I can't remember because I was too young whenever it happened. So not everything seems to be cause and effect in my world. And it's how I feel about stuff that gives me this kind of irrational take on the world around me. And sometimes most people try to lean on religion in order to be able to balance that for themselves. But I prefer psychology and trying to work out what's going on. And my argument is that God, all gods, in every instance where somebody's talking about gods, is just a tool that they're using to be able to balance that equation for themselves. If there's 1.5 billion Christians in the world, that means that there's 1.5 billion versions of Jesus, and they're all different colors, sizes, shapes, and capabilities. None of them match. And that's where
I agree with that.
I just think that psychology is where we should replace religion, is my main point. And based on that alone, I switched over. I was an atheist for a while. I was anti-theist for a long time. But ultimately, I wound up landing in the realm of more of a pagan belief, where the gods aren't that well defined. But that's okay, because they're not really an entity that's going to get pissed off at me. There were tools for me to get to my subconscious, which has an inordinate effect on the average stuff that I do from day to day.
I'm going to be real with you. This is not at all where I thought this call was going. I guess the question that I would have here, you talk about replacing religion with psychology. I understand psychology as the study of the human mind, and psychiatry as the medical practice of treating issues of the human mind. And I would argue that, like, I use psychological terminology when I'm describing, like, where religious belief comes from and, like, how religious belief affects people and things like that. And I would use psychology and, like, that kind of thing to say, like, I could understand, like, trying to come to terms with the world around us and make sense of it and help ourselves, but that bleeds more into philosophy than psychology and other fields of science other than psychology. So I don't see the gap. I don't see the bridge that you're building here, and I don't think I really fully understand the gap that you're trying to build a bridge over. You're saying that religion is just this tool to kind of paint a picture of the universe that we then apply like psychological frameworks to understand our behavior and our place. I don't get where you're going with this.
No, where I'm going with this is, weird stuff. It could all just be circumstantial. It might not be real at all, but, it gives you a little bit of faith in it. Like, I prayed to Hecate, and I said, I need authoritarians crushed. this is killing this world. We've got to do something about it. And it just so happens that that was the day that Russia lost Starlink. Now, did that really happen because I prayed? Well, probably not. But is it okay for me to feel like it did? Sure. Why not?
Because it's fundamentally untrue. Oh, put that the wrong way. Sorry, I made my arrow go the wrong way. That's because it's not true. And because, and just when you sat up, you were sitting there for a while, and I wrote that. I was going to make fun of you for looking so sleepy. It's a problem because it creates the basis for more extreme beliefs. When people, somebody died and then it rained the next day, and somebody says, okay, well, now I'm just going to live in this post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy of this happened and then that happened, so this must have caused that. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from we need to sacrifice somebody to make sure the crops grow next season, and then you have a serious problem. So, like, scientific inquiry and logical thinking and understanding what's going on around you and caring about it, those are all good things. And allowing yourself to be religious and have faith just because it's easy is just a mental cop-out that's going to stifle scientific progress and societal progress.
I also I think when it comes to, like, this idea of a collective unconscious mind or this idea or anything like that, I think it's just that the human brains just all sort of work similarly. So, like, when certain things happen in environments, they're going to affect the brain in a way that's sort of similar for people. So for me, it's just sort of like when I specifically think of, like, religion and religious beliefs, I look at the fact that most religions teach a level of subservience and a level of obedience that I think is bad for the people who are not in charge and great for the people who are in charge. And that's my big issue with religion.
That was that old quote that I always worry when people say they know what God wants, because it's always what they want to,
Well, that's the thing. Going into it from my vantage point is, number one, I did point out that there was a fallacy that obviously what I did has nothing to do with it, what happened in the war in Ukraine. I know that didn't have anything to do with it, but I allow myself just enough to be able to feel good about it. You know what I'm saying? It's, in other words,
why?
You can't buy it 100%, but you can.
What's the benefit?
You can just.
What's the benefit to allowing yourself to feel good about it? Why would you do that?
Sort of to integrate my left brain and my right brain, my emotions and my logic. Logic, I can't live entirely logical. I would hate to be Spock.
Nobody does. Nobody does. I'm just saying.
I might as well be a large language model if that's the case.
Do you care about whether or not the things you believe are true?
Yes, and that's why I ground it in the fact that there's not anything really to this. But if I want to feel good about it, I can feel good about it. It makes me celebrate what's happening in Ukraine.
What I'm asking you is, if you care about whether or not things you believe are true, why would you then deliberately allow yourself to believe something that you know is not true? Why not just find a different reason to be happy, or some other philosophical framework that doesn't require such a thing?
That's a great question, and honestly, I'm still trying to work that out. It's an intriguing question, but it is one of those things where at least half of my mind, if not more, is completely illogical and doesn't make any sense. Why does a certain song make me want to cry? It just doesn't make sense.
Will, quick question, Will. Just real quick. What why aren't you an atheist specifically?
I think that I stopped being an atheist at some point, primarily because, well, I had some pretty bizarre things actually happen. But once again, it's one of those things where the effect didn't seem to come from a cause the way that one would expect. I mean, I could answer it directly, but I'd wind up sharing a damn story, and
some shit happened that you didn't have an explanation
into.
for, and so you figured it might as well be magic.
Yeah, about as well as me. I mean, it was advertised as magic.
Right.
To maybe I'm going to confuse it by it's hard to share this stuff without messing it up. But basically, what happened was I had a daughter, and she was like 18 months old, and she had seizures every day. And we went to neurologists and had to record her. And that was my job every night. She would have like 12 seizures from me getting home from work until she went to sleep. And that was causing a lot of concern. And my wife is Bulgarian, and she told her mother about it. And she took it to the Baba in the village, and they did some stuff. I don't know what all was involved, and sends back this envelope and asked me to throw the envelope into a river that runs into the ocean. She goes, I know you should disagree with this sort of thing, but please do. And so I went ahead and I did that because I want to make my wife happy. And when I got home, I set up the camera, and my daughter never had another seizure. I never recorded anything more. The doctors had no answer for it. I had no answer. It sounds like I'm claiming that there was a miracle, but things go into remission all the time. I keep it grounded in the fact that this could have been completely circumstantial. It really, how do I know? But then again, how do I not know? I don't know.
So, right. But what my question to you here, Will, why not just leave it at I don't know? Why then invent not just a magical explanation for that, but now you are also allowing yourself to connect magical events to all sorts of other things that you consciously are aware are not magical, but you're just allowing yourself to believe all these things. Like, I can say there's shit that's happened to me that I can't explain, but then I just say I don't know. And like you even said, things like this go in remission by themselves. Things like this happen all the time. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm saying that you don't know, and I don't know, and I don't even. Like, you could just say I don't know.
I think, like most people, Will, you get comfort from religion. I think it's fine, right? But I don't think that's needed to put a truth claim out into the universe, right? So,
that's what I'm trying not to do. I don't want to make a truth claim because, like you said, I don't know. But the problem is that with the number of weird circumstances and changing things, I feel like I'm compelled to investigate further.
I think I think it's fine to investigate. My position, Forrest's position, in fact, I think most people here at the line, is that you need to investigate with a high level of skepticism. Because otherwise, the human mind just inherently looks for patterns and answers. It just does that.
I know you have to be skeptical. I mean, all you got to do is look at modern Christianity to know that that's the case. I'll never forget the day that I found out that camels weren't domesticated until like hundreds of years after the Bible says that Abraham took his camels, which apparently would have been domesticated. It's like, well, how in the hell did you have camels if they weren't domesticated yet? There you go. So you investigate everything. You don't stop. You don't become a fool over the thing. For the most part, I'm pretty rational.
And yet, Will, what you're telling us here is that there are certain things that you just don't investigate, and that you actually do the opposite, and you decide, I'm going to say that this is magical, and that makes me feel good, so I'm just going to believe that now. And that's the opposite of that.
No, I'm investigating those things too. There can't be an end to investigation.
Like, for me personally, I'll never believe in miracles because I've seen way too many people suffer. People who deserved to not suffer more than some people who had quote unquote miracles happen to them, right? That doesn't mean that crazy shit doesn't just sometimes happen, right? Like sometimes just crazy stuff happens. And there probably is an answer in somewhere, right?
All the time.
Yeah, so there could be a reason why, there could not be. Who knows? But it appears like we're pretty much in alignment, at least on our core like beliefs on theism for the most part. Will, I know you waited a while to talk, so I'll let you, if there's anything else final you want to say to Forrest or myself before we end the call and end the show. But yeah, if there's any like last things you want to say.
No, not really. I'm a big fan of the line. I agree with most of everything that you talk about. I have pretty much memorized half the Bible, and that's more than enough to make me it was more than enough to make me an atheist, at least whenever it comes to Christianity. But there's these wonderful things that have happened, and yeah, and hey, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to talk about it one time to actual humans.
Yeah,
right on,
and
man.
Truthfully, I'm glad you got me and Forrest as people on this one.
Most definitely.
I'll be so honest.
Yeah, it's a weird place, and honestly, I'm not entirely comfortable with it. But there it is.
Jimmy would have been checked out 5 minutes into the call. He'd been like, "What are we doing?"
He would have been. He's an awful person. He's an awful person.
True. Next time you guys see him, hashtag Jimmy is an awful person.
Yes. Anyway, thank you so much, Will. I appreciate your call, man.
The next time I send you guys a super chat, I'll make sure to tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Please do. Please do. More people need to remind him.
All right.
All right. Take care, sir. Bye-bye. And that was our last call. Last call of the night.
Oh shit!
I don't know what key I'm in. I don't think we do.
No.
I think this is the Sunday Show After Dark.
Oh, thank God!
But it's the best part of doing the Sunday Show After Dark every week is I don't have to do fucking supers.
Oh my God! Part of also why I like doing calling it now. I don't have to do fucking super chats.
I need to go study stress hormones for a long time. There isn't even credits. We're just over here. She just put us in a box.
Yeah, wait. I don't know.
Just to do
don't know why they're not rolling.
She's
Hold
just
on.
an asshole. She just put us over here without even running the thing. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much to Jovan for co-hosting. It's very cool to have you. Thank you for filling in. And thank you to Jimmy for doing some of it.
I was able to make up for last week.
What I learned, yes, I ran the whole show and it was awesome. What we learned today, I think most importantly, is I can diagram this out, is that here's God and here's us and here's where they connect. You see this? And this is the truth that we can all get behind. Oh my God.